Welcome back to the Now What podcast. I am your host, Arian Foster, once again, with my mans, Jonathan Grimes. And today we have another special guest in the building, man. This one's as special as it gets, man. We go way back, bro. We go way back, man.
To say the least, for sure.
So I want to give people a little bit of background on who you are. Because anytime we've done a lot together, whether it be business or whether it be networking, and anytime that we introduce ourselves to a new whoever it may be, I always have to tell my story first, because if I go after you, I'll get less sympathy. So I want to give some background. I'm gonna introduce y'all. This is my man. His name is Humble Lukanga. Everybody clap it up for Humble Lukanga. My man, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing really, really great. Thanks for having me.
How's your stay in Houston been?
You know, it's been great. It's been great.
You be in and out because you're the busiest man on earth.
Well, you know, time is precious, man. So I try to I don't waste words and I don't waste time.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, then, man.
Yeah, absolutely,
not a waste of time.
Nah, you kidding me?
So I want to dig right in, man. So
yeah,
I want to give the people a little bit of information on your background, because it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And it's been a integral part of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So tell these people where you from and tell them your story.
Man, where do I start? So my story begins in a small village called Masaka. Actually, the village called Misambu in the Masaka district in Uganda. That's in East Africa. Come from very, 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 very humble beginnings. Growing up in a third world country, in the midst of genocide, poverty, disease, famine, walking every day fetching water, no electricity, no indoor plumbing. Living off less than $1 a day.
Right.
At the time, which I just got back from Uganda. Actually, it's crazy that not much has changed. But at the time, you're in an environment where 3 out of 4 kids are dying before the age of 5, just from the living conditions. Yeah. Whether it's disease, whether it's the water, whether it's war. So you kind of live in moment to moment to moment. In retrospect, such a tough environment that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy if I had one, per se, right? So
you grew up in it was a small hut.
Yeah, it was
how many people was living?
I think it was a mud house, and it had to be at least. And at that time, you all kind of families all kind of lived together,
right?
So when thinking back, it was almost 9 to 11 people there at a time, right.
And you didn't think no different because you didn't know any different.
When you're growing up, that's the norm, and there's a beauty growing up like that too, because you learn the richness of humanity,
right?
You learn that together you can overcome anything,
right?
And the Ugandan people are loving and very united,
right.
and so it was, when you think back on it, you realize how far you've come,
right?
But when I was in it, it was that was my life, and
right.
and we fetched water,
right.
we danced, we if I'm planting my seeds. And if I'm planting my seeds and my harvest comes in and yours doesn't, we share.
Right.
So I had a rich childhood.
Right. It kind of, grow up in America where it's dog eat dog.
100%.
And you're just out for yourself and your family.
Yeah.
That kind of camaraderie within the community isn't as prevalent. You have pockets where it is.
Yeah.
And so I felt like, just knowing you over the years, that's been kind of a cornerstone of who you were.
Yeah.
And it's bled off into my life as well. Yeah. And I've learned so much from you because coming from where I came from, all I wanted to do was just be able to make it out of my circumstances and have my family well off and then 100%. Go live in a hill somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas and after that, after I met you, that whole my whole mind frame changed because I didn't really have much of a purpose before that other than being quote unquote successful.
Mm.
And then I realized that I didn't even have a clear definition of what success was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the way you grew up and the way you influenced me definitely influenced that vision.
Man, no, it's thank you, man. That's incredible because I have such a rare vantage point of perspective per se, right? Because
Yeah.
on one hand, I grew up in this third world country, in these impossible odds, and I was just lucky to get a political asylum to come here. You know, when I was 11 years old to try to change my life, right? But then I've also come of age. I'm only 31 years old, so I've also come of age, you know, managing finances for the biggest names in sports and
Oh, we
entertainment.
were gonna get there.
Right.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
so now I'm like, so now it's like you go from like a third world a third world upbringing to now managing first world opulence.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I mean,
You talking about
I had like opulence.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Where
It's a total 180 of.
I mean, where you're trying to help these dynamic, professional athletes, entertainers, executives manage their success, right, and their
Right.
wealth. And in that journey, I've always fought for, with the clients, I've always fought for them never losing that humanity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because it's never about like how much quote unquote, first of all, you have to be really careful how you think about success, and you want to make sure that the metrics that you're chasing are those that you came up with and not the ones that man came up with.
Right. No, that's
You
real.
have to be really careful
Yeah.
how you define success. And also I would challenge people to think to not even chase chase success, but rather focus on fulfillment.
Right.
You
said one of these quotes that always stuck with me. I call them humbleisms. Everybody around you and everybody around me knows, man. I have a bunch of humbleisms, and so he always says like very profound things. And one of them that you told
I
me,
read a lot.
You do. And one of them you told to me that I just never forgot was school. It fills a bucket, it doesn't light a fire.
Yeah.
And that distinguishing factor, I think, was the difference between your journey and a lot of people's journey who are successful throughout their education. So I want you to kind of tell me about your education level and how you achieved it, because when you got here, you were 12 years old, correct?
Yeah, I was 11, about to be 12, and so when I first got here, like I really couldn't speak the language proficiently.
Still can't.
No, I think you could audit the grades, and surely that's not true. But when I got here, I couldn't, I really couldn't speak the language that well, right? So, I didn't know what a verb or any of these, an adjective or all these predicates. I didn't know how to put any of this thing together. Right. So I had to start in, what they call ESL at the time, English as a second language. You gotta imagine being like 11, 12 years old. I'm supposed to be like in 5th grade, but I'm like with the 3rd graders trying to like figure out what a verb is.
Talk, right.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And learn how to write it proficiently as well. And
what was the biggest language difference from your native tongue to English that you kind of dealt with?
Well, I think in any language is really 2 things. There's like, I think, one, if you don't have like formal training, even if you understand a little bit, doesn't mean you have the technical skills, right? So now, like, it's almost like if I wrote a paragraph now, I feel really confident if the world reads it.
Right.
Like I know it's almost like playing the instrument and knowing the notes. Know? So it's like, and if you don't know the notes, you're just banging at an instrument.
Right.
So
that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah. So
sometimes that works out.
Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it works out. But now when they're grading you,
you just dig into the Scrabble bag.
100%. But I remember coming, like, in my perspective though, I was so grateful. To this day, I was so grateful to be here, because in Uganda, you had to have money to go to school.
Right.
So if you don't have somebody who could pay your school fees, you never get educated. And it blew my mind when I got to the States that like, that they would have these schools that were in your neighborhood. Now, depending on where you lived, they'll say, at this spot at 6:45, you just have to walk to this spot. This big yellow bus is gonna come pick you up from this spot, drive you to this school. When you get off, when you get off that bus and you walk into the school, you're gonna have teachers who are there to help you learn all these different subjects.
That's crazy.
Math, science, language arts, geography, right?
So just the culture shock.
I mean,
It's
bro,
just...
I'm still in awe of this to this day, right? And I remember being in my I think it was like my 5th grade class, and I'm looking at the clock. I'm still working on my English. I'm reading really slow, and I'm not gonna get a chance to finish. And so I'm trying to write down in my notebook what I was seeing in my textbook so I can go home and finish reading.
Right.
And my teacher at the time comes up to me. She goes, "Humble, what are you doing?" And I was like, well, class about to end, and I'm not done yet. She goes, No, that's your book for the year. I was like, what?
I get to have this?
She was like, you see that number on the side of the book? Well, that's assigned to you. So as long as you bring the book back at the end of the year in the same form, in the same shape and condition that I gave it to you, you can take the book home. I'm like, what world is this?
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? It's coming from my perspective,
Right,
right?
of course.
So then you go through these classes, and then if you didn't have enough for lunch, they'll have free lunch, right? And then at the end of the day, if you went back to the same place that yellow bus dropped you off at, it would take you back to the same place and picked you up in the morning. I was like, where am I?
That's crazy.
Right? So from my perspective,
just looking at it like that.
So, I mean, this is, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So my perspective, I understood right away that in America, okay, 80% of it is showing up.
Right.
Like just showing up.
Right.
Because, man, no matter how many sick days like kids have, that bus was always there, right?
Somebody picking you up.
Somebody picking you up. Yeah. And so from that perspective, I worked really hard, and by the time I was starting middle school, I was like proficient and and advanced, right?
He was already talking shit then.
I was
He's kicking dozens with the best of them.
Exactly. It's but it's that journey of understanding what you have,
right,
and feeling grateful for what you have.
There's one more story you got to get out there, man.
Oh,
it was a story you told me that one time that it was snowing because your parents settled in Denver, Colorado, correct?
Right.
And so it was snowing. So tell them about that story when it was snowing. You had to.
It's gonna be so many stories being told. So another cultural So imagine you growing up in Uganda, right under the equator. I had never seen white people, let alone snow. You know what I'm saying?
This is all new.
What I'm saying?
Everything here is so white.
I said, man, the first time I saw snow, I was so fascinated by it. I mean, I was so fascinated by it. And I see it, and it was the most magical thing I had ever seen. So I'm outside playing it like a savage, like just playing in the snow. I couldn't get enough of the snow.
Right.
And then so my mother comes down. She's like, "Humble, come on, get upstairs, right? Get out of the snow." So I go upstairs. I get a big old jug, and I come fill it with snow to take it back upstairs, right? Because I had to do my chores. So I set it down somewhere, and I go do the chores, thinking in my mind, I can't wait to play with that snow, right? So a couple hours go back. I'm done with my chores. I go try to find my snow because I couldn't go back outside, and the snow had melted. And I thought,
unbeknownst to you,
unbeknownst to me. So I thought my brother had poured water. I don't know what. I thought he had did something to my snow. I was livid. I was like, I know you did something. I know you did something. So I'm just yelling at my brother. What happened to my snow? So then my
That
so then
shit
my
is so
so then my father comes, God bless his soul. My father comes and he's like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "I went outside, I packed my snow, I brought it in here, I did my chores, I wanted to complain with snow, and I know Chris did something to my snow." And my father was like, "Snow melts." Like, I go, "Oh, okay."
I apologize. Everybody go back to doing what you were doing.
Exactly.
I didn't know that.
I overreacted.
That's so funny, man. But just thinking of that perspective.
Of course, yeah.
It changed. That's why I said it influenced me so heavily, because when you grow up in America, you don't know what you don't know.
100%,
right?
yeah.
And so that the internet wasn't prevalent back then, and so I'm growing up in what I thought was poverty. Right?
yeah.
It was first world poverty.
Yeah.
But it was still poverty where
Yeah.
we had nights where we didn't eat.
Right.
There wasn't running water all the time.
Right.
But to your standards,
Yeah.
it wasn't that. It was almost luxury.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that kind of changed. You changed my worldview.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful. I have to be careful of not minimizing kind of the social injustices that are going on in the world today with comparing everything to third world poverty. It's a tough balancing act, but I think there is a balance there that has to be done.
Yeah, I think to touch on that point, because it's really, really important. I think when you grow up in a first world country per se, your struggle is valid too.
Yeah.
Like, it was really valid. It's not you didn't ask. You didn't ask. You don't ask for the BS that you have to go through, right? So whatever you feel like, it's not okay that you grew up in the richest country in the world and there were nights you couldn't eat.
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or there's not, like, there's so many things that don't make sense because of how wealthy the country is, and how much people suffer. I was in New Orleans this past weekend, and I was giving cash out like crazy because I was seeing these poor black kids playing drums on buckets, asking for money on a Sunday in the rain.
Right.
So I'm just trying to make sure, I'm trying to give money, but I'm like, this is America.
Right.
Why are these kids playing drums on the buckets, trying to raise money for their family in America? So their struggle is valid too, you know?
Right.
I think people in first world countries, especially in America, I think they become American citizens. But I think you live a richer life if you're a global citizen.
I try to tell that people, oh my
Yeah,
God, that's such an important point, man. Because we're really up on domestic issues and domestic policies.
But the world
is big.
The world is big.
World is
The
big.
world is big. So not only is the world big, but the world is full of humanity and people who look like you. All these different. I mean, the world is. We are people. We all made up from the same stuff.
Right.
You can't be just an American citizen. You can't just know what's just going on in your backyard and only care when a tragedy happens in a state here.
Yeah.
You have to care when a tragedy happens in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Iraq. You have to have. You should have more. I feel like as a human being, you should have more loyalty to humanity than to the place your mom gave birth to you at.
It's important.
You know what I'm saying?
I always say, like, nationalism, to me, nationalism is a disease.
It's a disease
Because it gets this us versus them mentality to the point of what we're doing now. We're sitting here fighting over flags. We're fighting over
100%.
stupid shit that really doesn't mean anything, and we're denigrating we're degrading the very foundation of what this country was built on, which is the freedom to do what the fuck you want to do.
100%.
You know what I mean?
And you become so, and people become so passionate about nationalism that they grow these beliefs that have no reason.
Right.
Right. And when you get to that point, then your thinking is inflexible. Right. And so to me, so to get back to, so to me, coming from a third world country. So here, you're always fighting for better.
Right.
Like, this for better.
Right.
You know what I mean? You are constantly stuck in this pursuit of more.
Mm-hmm.
More. And they train you that way. You know what I mean? Since, I mean, look at the iPhone. 8 just came out. 7 was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Right.
I got a 7. I refuse to get the 8.
But,
I got
yeah.
6 plus.
but there's always more,
Right.
more, and so when you grow up here, it's easier to just to step over your blessings because you're just looking at more.
Right.
You're not looking at what you have.
Right.
That makes you live in the future.
Exactly.
Instead of living in the now.
Right. You always, and you not only you caught living in the future, you also caught living in the past. You know, but like when you come from a third world country, you learn through your journey that, well, like you can't hide behind things, right? So like you can't hide behind brand names or what kind of car you drive or what's your salary. You can't hide behind that stuff, right?
Not when someone's really looking to find out who you are.
Exactly. Where we from, we all in the same village. We all in the same conditions. So what matters is who you are, like, you know. So integrity, your name, your honor,
Right.
like how you treat people, how you being generous, family. That's what separates you from the next person. Right. It's still competitive.
Right, for sure.
I just think you would just chase different things.
Right.
Right? Because for me, I just don't want to disgrace my father's name. I just want to be a really good, genuinely amazing person.
Right. And I mean,
whereas in the first world country, like that stuff almost takes a back seat. Look at our president.
Yeah.
Nobody even cares about his, you know, like what type of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and not to get onto that tangent because that take 4 hours, but we have to have more loyalty and more compassion to humanity than we do where we're from.
Right.
Love your country, but love the world.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like, and when we cry for Boston, when we cry for Las Vegas, when we cry for Virginia Tech, when we cry for all these different things, we have to also cry for like those 200 women that got abducted in West Africa, right? Or those bombings that were going on in Kenya or Rwanda. You know, like
it's tough. It's tough because we've been so desensitized
100%.
because of the clickbait era we live in, where the next news story is the most juiciest, and you're so used to seeing horror now. You're so used to seeing carnage that you're numb. Like I'm numb. Like I'll be the first to admit it. Like if I see people getting kidnapped, I'm like, damn, somebody got kidnapped. Let me scroll. Like because if you get to the point where you're so involved emotionally into all of these different news stories, you'll go crazy because the world. I think this is the best place. This is the best time to be alive that has ever been.
Right, I agree. Yeah.
We're the most technologically advanced we've ever been, the most healthy, the best medicine that has ever had. Our life expectancy has never been longer. It's an amazing time to be alive, but there's still so much evil in the world, and if you get consumed with it, like you'll go crazy.
Well, and
so you have to find that balance. Is what I'm saying. Like that balance is important.
Well, I think you never want to get consumed with evil.
Mm-hmm.
I think you want to be consumed with compassion.
Right.
And that's what I try to push. It's like you have to fight for that compassion because if you don't, then you're not human.
That's true. You just out here.
Yeah. So you have to fight for that compassion, and you have to have that compassion for the world, not just for where you are. Right.
100%.
But
I want to get back into unless you got another point.
No.
I don't want to take any of your shine away, man. You got a lot of gems to drop, man. But I wanted to get back into how fast you progressed in your education. So you were 12 years old, didn't know a lick of English.
I knew some.
You knew a little bit. What did you know?
I knew some, but not.
Did you listen to rap out there?
No, I didn't listen to rap out there.
What kind? So like, what? I mean, did you guys have? There was no electricity until what point?
Yeah, you never have electricity in the village, but sometimes you can get a radio and put some batteries in there and listen to music.
So what kind of?
Just the artists at the time. Hey, Ugandans have a good time now.
I hear you,
so
man.
We dance until we dance until the sun comes. Like, so if you ever come to my country, if there's one thing you're gonna do is you're gonna dance. Like, I mean, we go, so a lot of that, our cultural music and things of that nature.
That's crazy because you don't have no rhythm. That's wild.
Oh man, I've never heard more forced words spoken.
Let me find out how we'll be cutting the rug out here, man.
The hips are old now, but the stories are legendary.
so man, so you're 12-year-old.
Yeah. So,
you know 7 words. How many words you say?
I wasn't counting back then. Let's put it like this.
All right.
When I got here, it's almost like my English then was as proficient as my Spanish now.
You can get around.
I don't know if I can get around, but I got some words. I got some words that I understand. However, but to be able to speak, write, conceptualize, express yourself.
Right.
Both in like the format, the education way, and then also culturally.
Right.
I didn't know what any slang words mean. I didn't know anything, right? But once again, I had the resources being in America to learn. So by the time I was in middle school, that wasn't a problem anymore. Now I was trying to see how great I could be. Right?
Yeah, this is what I want to get into.
Yeah, and so my whole thing was, education is the way out for me. This is my ticket out, right?
How did you know that education was?
Well, when you have an African father, you have no choice. He physically makes sure you know that.
You got to do it.
But I was lucky. I was lucky to have a father who instilled that in me. That like, this is your ticket. Like, go do something with your life.
I want you to tell him exactly how he influenced your profession now. Like what did he do, and then how did that make you want to do the same thing over here I don't want to dilute what he did, because what he did is amazing.
No,
on a grander scale of what you're doing.
100%. They said the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and it's true. I say, cliches are cliches because they're true.
Right. Before we get into that, I know I'm jumping everywhere, man, but go into finish your education journey, because what you did in college to me was amazing.
I don't think it was amazing.
That's amazing to me.
To graduate on time?
You did not graduate on time. You got your master's at 23 years old. You didn't know English at 12 years old.
I know, but
not only were that you were running your own record company, you don't give yourself enough credit.
Nah, I did what I had to do. I did what I had to do, man.
I guess that's why you.
Have you seen this Asian kids graduating at Harvard at 16?
I hear you, man.
You know what I'm saying?
But I think it's important for people that look like me and people that look like you to see people like you and not see people like me, right? Because I was having this conversation on Twitter with a cat a while ago. We were kind of arguing back and forth, and we were talking about intelligence. And I was like, you have to be careful about who you're calling non-intelligent and who you're calling intelligent. We're going back and forth. And he's like, well, I'm an engineer. I'm going to school for engineering. He's like, I'm smarter than you. You just have to deal with it. Yada, yada. I was like, my dog, I'm on your side. So I'm rooting for you. So we need more people like you and less people like me.
Right.
We need less entertainers and we need more engineers. We need more financial advisors. We need more people that have careers with substance. And I'm not saying that what we do as entertainers it doesn't have any substance, but it's more impactful to our youth to see people like you do what you do. So be proud of what the fuck you did.
I am. Most definitely. And furthermore, I have these conversations with a lot of my friends, who have also had a lot of success, because professional athletes or entertainers, they always ask him, what are you doing for the community? What are you doing for the community? What are you doing for the community? The hurricane just happened in Houston. What are you doing for the, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I told my friend, I said, you need to ask you guys as like executives and business people, what are you doing for the community?
Right.
Because that kid has a better chance being me You know, having, you know, getting his master's and his undergrad and becoming getting his CFP, becoming a financial advisor, than he has been, you know, Arian Foster, a 4-time pro. Like, it's not gonna happen. Right. You know, and in the sense of like you know what I mean. But
the percentages.
The percentages. I mean, you know, he has a better chance of being a successful executive than he has being a you know, a superstar professional athlete. However, both lives are okay. Both lives are good, right? So how do we get the young people in the community to understand, like, there's so many different options, there's so many different possibilities than just entertainment or sports. Right. So I agree with you 100%. To get back to my father, so my father and the older I get, the more I understand why I am how I am. Right. You know, and why I am who I am. But my father was one of like the smartest people in his country at the time. So much so that he got a chance to go to the University of Nairobi and study economics. You know, that was in Kenya. And then when he was done there, he actually got a chance to go to, you know, the University of Southern California. This is in the 70s, right, and get his master's in public administration.
That's so crazy.
It's crazy to me that this young man from Masaka got his master's at the University of Southern California in the 70s.
That's wild.
So that's the pedigree I come from, right?
That's fresh out of the civil rights era.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
And my father could have stayed here and been whatever he wanted to be, but he went back to Uganda and started teaching. He believed in education, and he had so much to give back to his people. So he taught, and so that made the difference for me, because though I grew up in a third world country, though I had a father who instilled in me that your dreams are bigger than your bedroom window. Mm. You know, like, don't look out your window and, you know, like, no, like, look past the window and see the stars, right? And but what he taught me, though, is very simply, you can get all that you want out of life if you can help as much people as possible get all that they want out of life.
Another gem. Just gem after
gem.
You
know what I mean?
Say it one more time, then.
It's a very simple concept that has proven true in my life. My father taught me very, very young that whatever you want, you can get anything that you want out of this life if you help as many people get what they want out of their life. You know what I mean?
It's deep, man.
And so it taught me that this concept of you're getting by giving. You get in by giving, right? So, you know, when we met, and you were undrafted free agent, you know, we didn't know you were going to be undrafted at that point. But when we met and all the journey that you went through, it's that mindset. It's like, okay, what does he need? What does he need? How can you help him now that, like, his dream has shattered?
I always appreciate it, but I I always tell people that story, man. So, like, you're a young black, and I still what is the title that you go by? What is the profession of your title?
I've been called a few things, a couple to my face.
I just want to get it correct, man. I don't want to.
I mean, I hate all of them, though, because it's like, you know.
So how would
financial advisor?
Yeah, because you're not that.
Wealth manager.
It's not. It's you do so much.
Business manager.
So tell them about your firm real quick. Tell them about your firm. Because it's important for the story.
Yeah, no, I've been really lucky to and really focused to build what I consider one of the top wealth management firms in the country.
Easily.
And what we do is we are a team of like Navy SEALs of finances, CPAs, CFPs, CFAs, who are extremely passionate about teaching these dynamic performers how to build generational freedom. But what makes us so different and what makes us special, and I think the reason why I'm having a podcast with you, what makes us special is we don't just focus on managing money. We focus on managing wellness.
Right.
like finance is behavioral. It's not just stocks and bonds and returns on investment. It's spiritual, it's social capital, and economic capital. But how can you have such an impact in someone's life that you change their behavior and that you change how they think of money, which in turn helps you manage the money?
So what's the biggest? So what's the biggest hurdle you have on changing a young 20, 21, 22-year-old who's coming out of poverty, who's coming out of never having anything, not a dollar to his name, in college to now he's all of a sudden a multimillionaire? What's the biggest?
Well, the biggest struggle is to get him to trust somebody that looks like him.
That's true. No, serious. It's a joke, but that's true.
That's the hardest.
It's true.
That's the hardest thing. I always joke. I always say, you know what? I always joke. I say, you know what? I can't sign Cam Newton because I'm black, and I can't sign Peyton Manning because I'm black. That's the biggest hurdle.
It's real though.
That's the biggest hurdle.
It's real. It's real. Because when you're coming out, just to get a little context for people listening, when you're coming out of college and you're expected to go or expected not to go, you're on the cusp. I was a second to fourth round a pick, and I ended up falling all the way out because I'm an asshole. So, but when you're coming out, you start getting these calls from agents. You start getting
Right.
calls from agents. You start getting calls from financial advisors, and usually they're in bed with each other. You take one, you take the other, and you never want to do that. You always want to separate what you. Peter got to watch Paul.
Right.
We actually got a guy, Paul. Paul's my guy. I'm not talking to you, Paul. But so kids get at a young age when you're playing basketball. You know, you got guys coming at them, and I would say 99.9% of them are white.
100%.
So
Yeah.
So when kids are coming out, they have a hard time trusting people that look like you. People that look like me. I'm a little more light skinned, so I probably got a little easier than you.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
but it is harder for young
Yeah.
black men and young parents that are parents of these young black men to trust. And tell me what you think. Or like, where does that come from? Where does that distrust come from?
I think that distrust is and first of all, before we like let's take a step back, right?
You can take as many steps back as you want, man.
Because I saw this when I first came to the country.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I first got to the country as a 12-year-old, the white kids didn't really like me because I was black, right? But the black kids didn't like me because I was African, right?
Yeah,
so it's like, you know what I'm saying?
I mean,
there's like this like rooted, and if I'm honest, I think it goes back to like all those years in slavery,
100%,
and how we were taught to how we were marginalized to think that we were less than, right? And how we were, and all of those brainwashings. Sometimes we forget like how incredible we are.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like we are incredible. We are the dopest in the world, right? At anything that we do. But when you were taught that you're less than for 400 years, then you have a less time trusting somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And like that looks like you, right?
So
for me, so you go to finance and
so just to get it clear, so you honestly feel like you're a lot of the issues that you face as a wealth manager and trying to not necessarily recruit, but when you
I don't recruit no more.
I know it's
6-month waiting list.
I don't want to disrespect.
Yeah,
so when you take on new clients, it was hard in the beginning.
Oh, it was impossible in the beginning.
And you feel like that does have everything to do with the color of your skin.
Let me ask you a question.
I mean, I know the answer.
Yeah. No, 100%.
We talking
let me
to them.
let me rephrase it this way, right? When I step into the room, right? I don't even talk about myself anymore because that doesn't matter. I'm black. So all I do is say, if you are serious about working with me, call all these people.
Referrals.
Just call all these clients. Call all of these mothers. Call all of these fathers. Because surely they can all be wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, the fight is different. So but the fight is different. I mean, think about this for a second. Like, even in any position of power, I think the leagues are probably 80% African Americans.
Easily.
And all these, how many of us representing those athletes as agents, as financial advisors, all these things? Very, very small. Mm-hmm. I've been doing this for 12 years. I probably know one other black financial advisor that's doing well.
And that's crazy,
right?
That's really wild.
It's crazy. And so what I'm saying is, like, that's the hardest. That's the biggest hurdle to tell somebody, like, listen, give me a chance. I don't come from money. Yes, I come from a third world country. Yes, but no one cares as much as I do.
Mm-hmm. And it was exactly that pedigree you came from that I feel like. I mean, your name is Humble. We should have probably said this at the beginning. Your name is Humble Lukanga, and like, how'd you get your name Humble? And I always tell people, like, that shit is tough, though. So you walk into a room for the first time, and you're like, how you doing? I'm Humble. Yeah. It's like, who the fuck is this guy?
100%.
His name is Humble.
100%.
And then so, like, you have a mountain to climb just saying my name is Humble to people. Yeah. And then not only do you fulfill that name, like, you exceed the expectations of somebody named Humble, which is so crazy. Like, you have to be super humble for that.
But I think if you want to be successful as a man of color, you have no choice but to be really, really special.
Right.
Like, if it's close, it's not going to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if it cannot be close, like, it cannot be close. You have to win that race by a mile just to get the chance. You cannot, and that's why I tell young people all the time. Like, when I go speak I speak a lot of different colleges. I love investing in young people. When I'm around young people of color, I'm like, listen, you know what it is. Let's not pretend.
Right.
Now let's go be excellent.
Right.
Because like, you have no other choice.
Right.
Like, we can't sit here. You know what I mean? We know what it is. Let's just go be excellent. But you know.
So I always love that mindset because a lot in the world we live in today, and I have this conversation with people a lot. Like, there are people that don't believe racism exists.
Right? And that's crazy.
It's wild, right?
That's crazy.
And so, like, our like my parents fight.
Yeah.
And my grandparents' fight was different. So my grandparents' fight was they were fighting for just equality.
Right.
Then my father's fights were they were fighting for like discrimination in institutions and things like that. Right. And now our fight is different. Our fight is convincing people that there's a fight.
100%.
Which I think is a harder fight. Right.
Let me tell you. Let me touch on that point. Right. This is my first public interview. Right. And
I appreciate you coming on the Now What podcast,
but listen,
man.
but think about how much this is how much racism exists. Think about this for a second. You know my story. Like,
right.
You've seen, like, you have seen me become who I've become through pain and grind and excellence.
Right.
Like, you've seen me, like, what I've been. You've seen what I've been through, right? You know how many times I get calls from, you know, Inc. magazine or Forbes or CBS or ABC. Everybody's trying to tell that story of, like, how does this young man go from a hut in Uganda to representing the biggest names in sports entertainment?
Right.
Right?
Right.
But why haven't I ever done an interview? Because I don't want to be targeted. I don't want them knowing how successful I'm doing.
Right.
Think about that for a second.
That's crazy.
Right? Because
I'm saying
those are the decisions you have to make as an executive to protect, like, your team and all those things, because does that make sense?
So you can't you have to account for outside.
You have to just account of just, like, what people are going to try to do to tear you down,
because it's real.
You have to, man. Somebody wrote an article on Glover Quinn, who's a brother.
I do want to go over your client list because it's
I mean, I can't even say my client list. They're gonna try to kill me.
That's true. Okay.
But I say Glover Quinn because he's our brother, right?
Right. Yeah.
Somebody wrote an article on Glover Quinn.
Glover Quinn is the
best safety. He's the best safety in the
best
NFL.
safety in the NFL, starting for the Detroit Lions.
Right.
He's one of our brother's close business
he's
partners. He's just my guy.
So they wrote a great article about how he's been able to just do things the right way financially.
Right.
And he shared with them this, the system of how we manage his finances. And they wrote a little quote from me in that article. Right? A week later, right, Now, this article was trying to explain how he's been able to make more money off the field than and how strategically he's been investing his money than he has playing, and the financial security he's built for his family. It was a great article.
Right.
When they found out that I was the financial advisor behind Global Quinn's success, right? I had clients call me saying that other financial advisors was calling them saying that's impossible.
Oh wow.
Does that make sense?
That's crazy.
So that's the pressure you feel when like you get a quote.
Right.
Because they can't believe that there's that, because you just can't be black and excellent.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So that's
the stuff that we have to deal with, right?
So you have to live in a little bit of anonymity.
Anonymity is my protection.
So what makes you decide to come out of the quote unquote closet now?
Because I have people to, because
I grow up, man.
No, like I'm starting to accept my position more and more the older I get.
Right.
And here's the thing, because I've seen all these like young, I'm seeing us like as young black males being shot like dogs outside.
Right.
And also like there's somebody out there that like wants to do what I'm doing, and they need to hear my voice.
I agree.
Like they need to know that this is possible.
100%.
Like you can be extremely successful with your mind and be, you know what I mean? Mm. And not only do it because you're 50 and 60, but do it now.
Right.
You know what I mean? As young and dynamic, you can do it now. You can leave that university and go get them now. You know what I mean? And so, when I'm talking to people, they say, "Humble, man, like your voice is really important." And no matter what no matter what the backlash can be, no matter what you have to go up against, people need to know that someone like you exists.
Yeah.
That way, these kids that you going all over the world talking to, who you're teaching in the summers, who you are mentoring, that way the whole world knows that it's possible. Right. So that's why I chose. You know what? I'm gonna step out of my anonymity and do this podcast, and then, and continue to spread my joy and my story.
No, it's needed, man, and we appreciate you coming out on this one.
No, that's only right. It's only right.
Nah, because we go way back, man, and it's like I said, we've been through struggle upon struggle together. The interesting dynamic of our relationship has been an integral part in who I am today. It's changed the way I've thought. It's changed the way I do things. There's no way I would be in the financial position I am today if it wasn't for you and your team. And so I would try to make sure I tell you guys that all the time. People always say, when you talk to kids and you talk about finance, right? And I didn't go to school for finance. I just didn't. I went to school, in all honesty, to just come play in the NFL. Yeah. And that was my dream. And so the little gems that I give them for like financially, because you get those questions a lot, like how do you do this? How do you do this? I got all from you. Man. I got all from you guys, because I mean, we growing up in poverty. I love my people to death. I love my mother and my father, but you see the kryptonite when you influence them when you're growing up. Absolutely. And you start to become a man. You realize that some of the decisions they made is the reason why they were in the positions that they were in, and so they didn't really know how to manage finances successfully. Absolutely. Right? They made some choices, and everybody's parents goes through that. And when you see that kind of unveil over your lifetime, it gives you a more fluid understanding of the position that I'm in and the people that I've decided to surround myself with, and you're one of those people. So for young kids out there that are listening or watching this, what's the best like financial advice that you can give them, any kind?
Yeah, I think that's such a great question.
Thank you, man.
To me, it goes back to behavioral, to behavior. Right. Finance is behavior. Right. How you spend your money is directly linked to what's important to you. No debating. Right. So, your money trail is the most accurate depiction of where you are taking your life. And the reason why I manage money from a behavioral perspective is because all of like people go through a lot in their lifetimes. There's you have relationships with your parents. You have relationships with your significant others. You have all these things you've been through in your journey of life that kind of forms how you feel about yourself.
Right.
And how you spend your money is almost like the outcome of what you feel about yourself.
So you can read somebody's receipts and get a receipt on who they are, really.
I'm telling you.
Wow.
Think about
That's
it.
interesting.
Think about the FBI, right? When they're trying to figure out what happened, what's the first thing they do?
They go in them logs.
They follow the money. You know what I mean? It's like because your money is directly linked to your behavior. So if you tell me what your values are, then money should be a tool that's directly parallel to those values, right?
Right.
So before we even start talking about managing money, let's talk about managing values. What are your values? And I fundamentally believe that every human being alive should have 5 values that are so ingrained in their soul, that are so ingrained in who they are, that they can't compromise them, they can't be shaken from them. These are their pillars.
Right.
Rain, hail, it does not matter.
Snow that doesn't melt.
Snow that doesn't melt. Whatever is coming, you stand by these 5, right? And every decision that you make, especially with your money, should be aligned with those 5, right?
So how much do you allow for?
So mine are.
Okay,
So mine are family, gratitude, generosity, community, okay, and faith. Let me touch on that one, last one.
Yeah, because
but
this ain't the podcast for that one. I was
no,
I'm just playing. Go ahead.
What I'm saying, no. Okay, a business opportunity comes up. How does it affect my family? Am I really grateful to be? Am I really grateful for it? Right. You know what I mean? Like, is it something that I should be doing? Is it going to give me an opportunity to be generous?
Right.
To how does it impact my community? How does it impact my community? And furthermore, like, what type of person might be coming through it?
Right.
Like.
So you go through that checklist before you.
Man, those are my board of advisors.
Right. That's
real. Not only before I spend my money, but before I make a life decision.
Yeah.
Because every action. First you form habits, then those habits form you.
Another gem.
Right. So like. Those 5, that's my moral compass.
Right. So
you can, and I don't care if you have 6, but I'm just saying 5 helps you like remember them. Right. But I think so. So if I'm giving advice about finance, what are your values? Let's just have, you know what I mean?
So align your values first and foremost, and your habits.
Man, sit down with who you love, who you trust the most, and come down with 5 values. Then make sure that every decision that you're making, especially with your finances, is directly in sync with those values. And no matter where you end up, I guarantee you'll be worth going.
That's nice.
I guarantee it.
That's so deep because
I guarantee
it makes you think about finances in a different light, right?
Yeah, because finance is not about money.
Yeah, and
that's what you're taught. And that's why, like, in my opinion, I think that's what's wrong with Wall Street. That's what's wrong with banking. That's why people are losing everything. That's why the financial industry, though I love being a wealth manager, that's why I think the financial industry is a scam. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about greed and money. But as a human being who wants to retire, who wants to build a better life for your children, who wants to have financial security, who wants to this is about behavior and goals and like what and a life for your family. Money is just a tool, right? And so for me, it's like you will never do the right thing with money if you don't have the right values.
Right.
And you can't have contradicting objectives.
Right.
You can't say, I want my children to be financially free, but then you buy Bugattis. Right? How can we have that conversation? You know what I mean? You have 6 Bugattis, but does that make sense? So like, okay,
they depreciate.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, what are your values and how is your behavior linked to those things.
So how can you allot for on your pillars, your values pillars? How do you allot for enjoying the fruits of your labor? You know what I mean? Because like you hear that all the time.
It's so important.
Like balance is everything, right? So you hear people all the time how blowing this money in a strip club, this money and doing that, whatever your vice is, whatever you like doing. Like where do you allocate spending money for your own personal benefit?
I think that's another great question. I think people don't know. I think nobody ever thinks of enough. The problem isn't in enough. The problem is in excess.
Okay.
Nobody's ever went broke spending enough. You know. You know what I mean? They all go broke spending, and it's the excess. It's not the one car. It's the 6 cars.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so to me, it's like.
So you're saying like live within your means.
Well, but to me, that's what you always hear, right? Or live within your means, and that,
break
and
me
that
down
changes.
then.
But what I mean is like, what is important? What do you enjoy? And then spend money on that, and then cut out the frivolous stuff.
Right.
So let's say you say, man, for you, arts is very important.
Super.
The arts are important to you. You know, traveling is important to you. So okay, spend the money there. Because at least like what you get out of it, man, is priceless.
Fulfillment. Right.
You know what I mean? But cars, you're not a car guy.
So what if a guy genuinely likes to go to the strip club?
Then he genuinely needs to reevaluate all those values. Surely there's better ways to put women through college if that's what you wanted to do. You know what I mean? Surely there's better ways. You know what I mean? Like,
man.
Here's the key for us, and I'm speaking to people of color at this moment. We have to build generational freedom. That's what money is, freedom. Every chance you blow in it, you are detracting from your freedom. Freedom for yourself, freedom for your family, freedom for your kids. And when I say freedom, what I'm saying is you want to put yourself, your children, and their children in a position where they never have to depend on a system that will never be there for them.
And what system are you referring to?
The Donald Trump system. They're not meant for us.
Right. So what's our community's biggest hurdle financially? Is it it's the mindset?
It's this belief that you have to be rich to care about money.
You have to be rich to care.
Or
about
like
money.
you know, like why do I? People, like most people when I'm speaking to Americans across the country, they feel though that if I'm not making if I don't have money, I don't really need to have a financial plan.
Right.
Which is so crazy to me because the less money you have, the less room for error.
That's important.
They don't
You know
think
what I'm
about it
saying?
like that.
Yeah, no, to piggyback off of that,
Yeah.
so like to show like you do put your money where your mouth is, no pun intended. But when I was undrafted coming out of college,
Yes.
I tell this story all the time. So I'm undrafted coming out of college, and I ended up signing with the Houston Texans for like $5,000, and that was still a lot of money to me, but we knew that wasn't enough to.
Yeah, and
to
net
get
it was
by.
what 2,100.
Yeah, you know, your
Something like
taxes.
that.
And, you gotta pay gas and food. So I'm minding my business out here in Houston, Texas, and you know I'm on the practice squad out here, and I'm making okay money from the standards that I lived growing up, but it wasn't enough money no room for error, right?
Right.
So I get a call from Humble. I get this call. And he goes, hey, man, who do you think you are, man? I just answer the phone and say, hello. He goes, who do you think you are, man? I said, whoa. There's a lot of energy over there. I'm not feeling. Yeah, I don't know. Like, where's this coming from? I said, what's going on, man? What are you talking about? He's like, you spent $37 at Applebee's? You spent $37 at Applebee's? And I'm sitting there like, I can't go eat. Like, you don't have that luxury. We got to start budgeting. He said, go get some bread. Go get some lunch meat. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But you cared, and I appreciate it.
No, I was livid. We literally have $2,100 to our name. He's on a practice squad. So every week that he stays on, we give another little check. So we have a little cushion.
All right.
A little cushion. And so we're doing accounting, and this guy went to Applebee's. And it blew my mind, right? I was like, yo, dog, like, who do you think you are to be like eating out?
I tell that story all the time.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm
like, I was livid. I remember calling him like, are you in? Cause I'm in. Are you like? You know what I'm saying? Cause I was almost questioning like if he wanted it. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm in. Are you in? I said, bro, get groceries. That's a whole month's groceries, right?
Yeah. But because the dope thing is important, dog.
Yeah.
The dope thing is, and the reason why I love you like no other man is because you cared about me.
That's what it comes down to.
You cared about me, and how I know it was genuine was I was undrafted. There's nobody on this earth that thinks an undrafted free agent is gonna go on and be a 4-time Pro Bowler. No. Like it doesn't, especially in football.
Nah, yeah.
Like basketball, the percentages are higher, but it's still rare. But like in football, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And so when I'm coming out of college, I'm just ignorant to all life's ills. I just don't know much about anything, man. And I don't know how to get a car. I don't know how to get a lease for an apartment. I don't know how to do any of these things. And you take time out of your day, and you're busy. You flying around. You meeting clients. You're networking. You're trying to recruit. At that time, you still recruiting.
I was young.
I was young. But so you doing all these things to help build your business, and I'm like. I call you. I don't know how to do any of this. So you flew down on your dollar because I couldn't pay for your flight. You flew down on your own dollar, and you said you got me a car. You showed me how to rent a car. Not rent a car. You showed me how to to rent a car. Then we had to get a lease on an apartment, and then we slowly but surely you showed me these little nuances of financial literacy to be able to be self-sustainable. And those gems that I learned throughout that time, I still use to this day. But you did it when I was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
You actually, the company that you were with, and then you decided to branch off and be your own. But the company that you were with said we can't have him anymore because he's costing more money on the books than he is actually bringing in. So we can't have him. And you said, "That's my guy."
That's my guy.
And you,
I remember having a wager with the founder of that firm that you were gonna be special.
That's crazy.
He still owes me money to this day.
We're gonna find him.
But I remember like he was like, you don't think he's really gonna break out. But I'm like all greatness has the same characteristics. I'm telling you, man. All greatness has the same characteristics. I know a killer when I see one.
So in part, you broke off from a firm that was stable, that was a staple in that industry, and you broke off in part. I don't say it's all because of me, but in part because you wanted the freedom.
No, it was a lot. I would say it was probably 95% you because I'm a kid from a hut.
Right.
Like no matter how far I get in this lifetime, no matter how much I accomplish, I'm a kid from a hut. You know what I mean? Like I never lose the awe of life, and I couldn't imagine being at a place where it's about money all the time.
In an industry that is about money, that's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. But
crazy.
You got to understand my perspective.
Yeah.
You know, I come from a third world country. My father had 10 siblings. 9 are deceased. 1 is still alive because we were able to get her, and now I was able to retire her. Thank God. Thank you for being a 4-time old pro.
I did what I could.
You did my part. But I'm saying, like, my mother, is gone. My father is gone. My siblings are gone. You go through a lot.
Dude, I do want to get into that.
Yeah, you go through a lot. So, I've been to more funerals than yours have been alive.
Right.
I'm at 31. I'm the oldest. I'm the only remaining person in my immediate family. There were 4 siblings. There were 2 parents. I'm the only one left, right? So I don't value things. I value people.
Right.
So I could not work with Arian, not because I could not work with you, not because you didn't have the money, but I needed his energy. I needed that call every morning. I had a brother. So, and I think that's what's made the difference in my journey, in my career, is that it was never about money.
Right.
It was about providing providing peace of mind for those that you loved.
And I always try to tell young kids that, like,
Peace of
stop
mind.
chasing money. If you chase the things that you love and your passions,
100%.
you'll be okay.
You'll end up something worth going.
Because there's so much on this journey to quote unquote success.
And here's the thing about success, okay?
Talk to me. You cut me off one more time, we fight. No, I was playing. Go ahead.
I'll have the lawyers ready if you. But the more success.
Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, the more. And he can afford it. I'm telling you. The more success you have, quote unquote success, right? The more successful people you meet.
That's
the more successful people you meet, the less successful you feel.
Wow.
Right? So
another gem.
So it's
another
just,
one.
No, it's there's no there.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's no there. And so you can't. You're right. You can't chase like success. I'm telling you, success is a marathon that only the blind run. Like there's no end there. The only thing you can chase is like love and passion because that brings fulfillment. This is why I think your story is fascinating. Though you had so much success in football and you know arguably one of the best running backs of your generation, you never felt fulfilled playing football.
Right.
You had the success.
Mm-hmm.
You had the contracts, the commercials, the endorsement deals, the money.
Right.
But you've never felt successful playing football.
I didn't.
Because it was never your passion and your love.
Right.
You are just now finding fulfillment.
Right.
So be very, you got to, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
you can't chase success. You have to chase like you have to chase fulfillment because fulfillment is a yes or no. It's a yes or no proposition.
So what do you say to those people? And I know they're out there right now listening, and they say, "Easy for you to say now that you're successful. Easy for you to say." What do you say to those people?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. People go, people say, well, you know, it's easy to say that money isn't everything because you have money.
Right. I always tell people, I say, I'm telling you this from a multi-millionaire's perspective. Would you listen to a homeless man? It's not about money. You be like, fuck out of here.
Why are you talking to me then?
They say, you know, listen. I'm not saying I know it all. I'm saying I know this. That I was a kid in a third world country in genocide and famine and unspeakable odds. I was happy then. I also came of age, and I've had the success, and I've been able to build a great life for my family, and I'm happy now. Why have I been happy my entire life, no matter the circumstances, no matter if I was burying my siblings, no matter if I was burying my parents, no matter if I was in genocide, or no matter if I was at the Chateau Marmont having some rosé with. Why have I been happy my whole life? Gratitude. Just grateful for every moment of every day.
So you really live in the now.
You have to drown in gratitude. I'm talking about drown, where you can't breathe because you're so grateful. It's impossible to have it's impossible to be unhappy, right? Think about this for a second. It's impossible to be happy and ungrateful at the same time. Like your brain will like burst before that happens. If you find yourself unhappy, it's because you're not practicing gratitude. You know, I remember I was in Uganda like burying my brother. This is my brother, right? My mother's son, my father's son. This is my brother. I was telling this story. You know, my brother was 14 months older than me, right? And he died in a tragic motorcycle accident, but he was 14 months older than me. So he was my first hero. That was before I knew my dad knew what the hell he was talking about. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't want to be like my dad. Who is that guy? You know what I mean? I want to be like my brother. Can I go with you? You know what I'm saying? Right. So when I was burying my brother, right, and just tough. You know what I mean? This is this past summer in July.
Right.
Do you know what I was going through? You know what loop was in my mind over and over and over and over again? I was like, man, I'm so grateful he left me children.
Wow.
I'm so grateful he left me children.
That
I'm so grateful he left me
so
children.
Rare.
I'm so grateful he left me children.
Jesus.
Right? Because I have these kids now. So I have him. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So that's the key to me. It's like you can't control what happens in your life. You can only control your perspective and how you react to it. And to me, when you are sincerely and genuinely grateful, I'm not saying that days are not going to be bad.
Right.
I'm saying days are going to be meaningful.
Right. And I mean, I want to not to beat a dead horse, man, because I know the story, but I think it's important for your story. I want you to talk about the loss that you've been through.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the loss that you've been through has affected, I mean, selfishly, has affected me to the point of I don't get upset about much of anything anymore.
Yeah.
And I know I got a girlfriend now. My mother gets upset at the fact that I never take anything seriously. Because nothing is serious to me but death.
Yeah.
And even
absolutely.
then, to me, it's a little. We're all gonna go. We're not gonna make it out of this one alive. So it's like I want you to talk about the loss that you've been through, because there's a follow-up point I want to ask.
Yeah. No. And you know, and my story. In retrospect, is it's crazy. I mean, like I said, my father had 10 siblings.
Right.
Can you imagine? I mean, same mom, same dad, 10 siblings. 9 are gone. Through war, through disease, through famine.
So the war, the war that you were alive to see, it was genocide. It was Idi Amin regime.
Yeah, but I wasn't tell the end of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, I don't even complain. Like the stories my father tells me,
right?
Like the stories that my aunt tells me about those days. I mean, are just like, it's incredible. You know what I mean? And I see the devastation because I've lost so many uncles.
Right.
And on my mother's side, same thing. Just just loss everywhere. You know what I mean? And then the older you get, the closer it comes home, right? So, I had 4 siblings, and lost 2 of my sisters in those conditions. Lost my brother in those conditions. Lost my parents, right? So,
2009.
It was 2009, man, and I lost my parents in like a matter of like a week and a half. My mother passed away, and then my father passed away, so I had to bury both of them at the same time, right? So, and I'm but once again, even when I was burying my parents, what was on loop in my mind, I had them for 21 years.
Right.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
So that's what I want to ask. So you have loss after loss after loss
after loss.
And you're one of the most genuinely happy people I've ever been around, which is why I like to keep you around.
Yeah.
That and you're smarter than me.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I'm smarter than you.
I promise you,
just
man.
in finance. But there's a lot of things that I learned from you, man.
It goes deeper, man. But so loss after loss after loss.
Yeah.
And you remain happy.
Yeah.
Are there days where you have to force yourself and say, because every time I call you, you've seen me moody, right? You've seen me. I'm like, what's up, man? Like, what's up? You've seen me moody. I've never seen you moody. I've never called Humble, and Humble answers like, what do you need? Yeah. Like not once has he been moody, and that fucking blows my mind because of everything that you've been through, all the things that you have to face day in and day out. Yeah. You face daily discrimination. I face it on a very small scale because. A lot of that dissipates because of my quote unquote recognized, I'm a little bit of fame I have, right? So people throw out race, I'm not black, I'm OJ.
Hey,
okay. So I don't face it on the day to day level of I have to prove myself a lot of the time. It's in day to day hand in hand. So you face daily discrimination, you face loss after loss, and you've never been moody. Are the days that you feel like are. Do you have any that you're just like, I'm taking today and I'm not happy? Like I'm taking today and there's no smiles. Fuck this shit.
Man,
tell me.
That is such a phenomenal question, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna share with you a story I've never shared before, to answer why I'm that way.
All right.
Okay. I'll give you some real insight that I'm only writing. in my book right now. My mother was my father's second wife, right? But his first wife, my father was doing well. He was a professor. He was sitting on government boards in Uganda. He had built a really great life for himself. And when the change of power happened with the president, they had to get rid of every single person that had any influence from the old regime.
Right.
So they planted to murder my father.
Jesus.
They set up a coup to get him and to assassinate him because they knew his car. And he was one of the few men in the country that had a car at the time.
Right.
But when it got to that car, he wasn't in it. But it was his wife and his 2 daughters. No, man. And they killed his entire family right then and there. He had to find out, like, when he got, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You fast forward 10 years later, 13, 14 years later, he meets my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And she restores love in him again.
Right.
She allows him to smile again. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And they go on to have 4 children. He loses 2 again.
For the same political...
No, just from the conditions, you know? And he's like, you know what, I can't lose more children, right?
Right.
So then we get a chance to come on a political asylum in the States.
Right. And to file for a political asylum you have to be well educated. Like,
but I tell you this, I never saw my dad complain one time about his life. Not one time. Not one time, however, I ever saw my father feel sorry for himself. He was quiet, he was calm, he was confident, he was strong. And he did what had to do every day. I don't even, like, my aunt, who is my dad's little sister, and they grew up best friends, who's, I even hate calling her my aunt because she's like my second mom. She helped raise me.
Right.
I only know these stories because she tells them to me.
Right.
My father never told me that.
Right.
He never complained. So as I'm leading my life and I have a little boy, I want him to say the same thing about me.
Right.
When he tells my story, he's like, well, he goes to my dad, because he'll have my story.
Uh-huh.
And he'll be like, we Lukangas.
Right.
We don't complain.
Right.
We grateful.
Right.
And it starts with my father. So how can I honor his name that he gave me if I don't honor the strength and the courage and that he had? So to answer your question, why I never complain, why I never feel down, I never get moody, I always think of my dad and I go, he didn't make excuses.
He's been through it.
He didn't make excuses. Where should I?
Right.
So when things happen that are just like, this is not right. This is some bullshit, right? We all have those days.
Right.
I give myself 45 minutes. You got 45 minutes, man.
Where'd you get the number from?
I feel like an hour is too long. I feel like an hour. I feel like an hour. I can't give anyone that much power. I only got 24 hours. I gotta give you one of them.
Yeah.
I can't give you an hour.
Yeah.
I can't give anything negative an hour. But
Man.
I feel like 30 minutes is too short. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm still trying to figure out, like, come on, I was the best. You know what I mean? Things happen that are just wrong. But after 45 minutes, I'm right back to being
That's
who I'm
powerful,
supposed to be.
though. It's powerful.
So I say that to say this: have enough courage to accept that, like, this is some bullshit.
Right.
Let's not be naive. But yet, don't give nobody that much power they can take your day.
Yeah.
That's too much power, man.
That's
I'm
incredible.
gonna keep that power with me.
That's incredible.
So I can keep knocking down more doors. I'm gonna need it. You know,
That's incredible.
I can't give that power away.
That's
I
incredible.
need it.
So you time do you time it?
Yeah. I'm like, man, put the time on the iPhone. I'm like, think about it. You know what I mean? But like, and be mad too, right?
Right.
Be mad. Like that's wrong. That's crazy.
I'm going through it today.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, that's just like really unfair. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
or I mean, like when I lost my brother, like I gave myself 45 minutes.
Man.
you know, and I cried, and I was like, man, that's my brother. Like, that's my brother. Like, same mom, same dad. Like, I mean, he was the one person where I didn't have to tell him my story. He saw it.
He saw it, right?
and also, like, he was like, every single time I talked to him, he couldn't believe I was doing what I was doing. He was like, "You doing what?"
It's crazy.
You know what I mean?
It's
like, you know when
crazy.
somebody's really proud of you,
Right.
not because you have success, you know, in quotes, but because you overcame it all.
Right.
Ah, man, and like, you can't. How somebody looks at you, you can't. It's the realest thing. How somebody looks at you. Somebody can tell you anything they want to tell you. But how somebody looks at you, and I can just look in his eyes, and he's just like, man, like. You really did like he was. It almost switched where he was like where I grew up wanting to be like him, and now he's like that's my little brother, right?
Right.
So to lose him, I mean, it was sucked.
Right.
And I still give myself 45 minutes.
Every now and then.
I give myself 45 minutes. I said, yo, this is unfair, right? This is crazy.
Yo.
But now. You know, I got children. I got more kids to raise. It's go time.
It's go time. It's go time.
I can't tell this little son that I'm still crying.
That's
You know what I mean?
real.
Like,
Nah,
come
it's
on,
real.
let's
It's
go.
real.
Let's go.
It's real.
Let's go.
And you know what, dog? Like,
The right person for the job.
Let's go, man.
That's real.
I always say on the other side of tragedy's triumph. If I'm gonna have the tragedy, I need the triumph too.
I need both. I need that.
I need both too.
That.
Yeah.
I need that.
I need both
Don't
too.
leave me hanging. So,
Yeah,
I mean, I think that shit is so relevant and so powerful because a big part of the reason why and what helps you keep going is I got a name to uphold.
Yeah.
I got to take care of my name.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was a big hurdle for black men in America because I'm not proud of the Foster name.
Yeah, it's
And
not your name.
It's not my name.
Yeah, it's not your name.
And it's something that is trivial on the surface, but like when you dig deeper, it gets real. Because like,
that's real.
My father got his name from his father, and his father got his name from his other, who eventually got it from a slave owner. And that pride that was instilled in your for generations.
Absolutely.
That shit trickles down, and that shit is inside of you.
Yeah.
And ours, it was kind of taken.
Yeah.
And not to, you know, I'm not trying to make excuses or cry about it or anything like
If
that.
you do, you got 45 minutes.
I gotta give me my 45 minutes, man. We've been here for about an hour and a half, man. Give me 45 minutes. I'm gonna take these next 45 minutes to talk to you why it's fucked up. No, but that sense of pride that you have in your name, I always kind of envied.
Yeah.
And you know, I'll you know, carry my foster name as best I can,
of course,
and give it to my kids. But that kind of Game of Thrones feel, with your last name,
The House of Lukanga.
man. So anybody who hasn't seen Game of Thrones is set in the medieval times.
Yeah.
And your house name and your name sake was everything.
100%.
And if you said I'm a Lannister, I'm a this, I'm a that, it meant something. Just the name meant something. And so when I met you, it was very important. You said I never thought about talking to somebody and saying, "Yo, I'm a Foster."
Yeah.
It never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
I'm Arian. Yeah. My parents named it, so I didn't really have no control over that.
Right.
But like when you were like, "Yo, I'm a Lukanga," like my daddy was a Lukanga, like it meant something to you.
Yeah, 100%.
And so that kind of changed the way I thought about my last name.
Yeah.
As well. And you know, I'm out here doing my best, thugging it out with the Foster slave name. But
Nah, you talking.
Well,
you talking. You know, you talking truthful. You know, chitufu.
Chitufu.
Yeah, you know, for you guys don't know that's slang in our country for in my language for like, oh, that's real. He's talking
real.
truthful.
That's real.
Chitufu.
It's real talk.
Yes, it's real talk. That's our slang for real talk. But you know, but we also have this other thing where you meet somebody and you say, you know, where did that chi?
Where did that chi?
Yeah, and
What
it's
is
just,
that?
and just ask you like, you know, where did the chi? Like where are you from? You know, and then they can then they tell you their lineage. You know, like
man.
oh man, you know. You know, so it's this
Son of,
pride in that exactly.
man,
I'm
that's
son of this,
dope. That's so dope.
And so it's so cool. It's just a way to get to know somebody, and then they'll
Right.
tell you, oh, you know, this is my last name, this is my tribe, and these are this is my father, his father,
Right.
whatever. And
That's awesome.
And you take pride in knowing that your lineage. So
When we ask where you from,
it's like I'm from Compton.
yeah, man. It comes with a flag and a gang sign.
Yeah. No, but I think there's you know, I think there is some real magic in
Right.
and being proud of that name.
I agree.
But the beauty by the but a name is only worth as much as if it's good.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
you want to have you want to give your children a good name. You
Right.
know, I think the pride comes from the name is really good. Like
Right.
but these were honorable men. You know,
Right,
like
right,
or
right.
and honorable women.
Right.
But when you don't know, I feel you. I don't have the answers for it,
Right.
but I understand that. I couldn't imagine not knowing like my lineage.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know.
And we deal with it through various substances.
But a big part of who I am is knowing who I am.
Exactly, and then it's a real struggle that I think it plagues our community.
100%.
Is that we have an identity crisis.
I think so. I mean, I wish I had the answer to it, but that's real.
Right.
But how come, you know?
Because a lot of these young kids today, man, if you look at anything that is pop culture, it's us.
Yeah.
It's black people.
Okay, driving it. Yeah.
Everything that has been driving pop culture for years has been us, and we always find a way to reinvent what is cool, what is pop.
Yeah.
And so we always are on the forefront of that, without really understanding who we are, without really understanding our history.
Yeah.
We're just cool fucking people.
Yeah.
I always
Really cool people.
when pop culture becomes education, when pop culture becomes understanding your history, I feel like that's when America will take a huge leap forward in being affluent.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you still talk like if you're a young black man, young black executive, you still get the you talk well type.
Oh man,
shit. I get
that all the time.
I hate that shit. But it's prevalent because the colloquial use of our slang is viewed as miseducation. That's a whole nother conversation in itself. But if we ever take that seriously, if we ever take education seriously, there's no reason why our community shouldn't be affluent in education and science and maths and literature, because we've always been at the forefront of everything.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff is by design too.
Yeah, no, it's
a lot. You know, it's by design.
Talk to me about that a little
I can't. I'm just a kid from my hut.
Just a kid from my hut. Hey, little out right there.
And that'll get you out of a lot of things. Man, you get pulled over, you're like, man, listen.
I'm just a kid from my hut.
I'm a kid from my hut, man. Let me get through my day, man.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't know you couldn't do that.
Yeah, let me just get through my day, man. But
what when you look at the state of your country and the state of your birth continent now, what do you feel?
I'm excited.
You feel excited?
I'm excited.
Right.
I like, you know,
because the picture of Africa to Americans, or the picture of Africa to people who aren't aware.
Yeah,
it's just you guys are still.
It's just us with flies on our belly.
Yeah, flies on the belly, and you still sacrificing people to the gods. Like that's the view of Africa that we have today.
The old and the new.
He pulled up pictures of Uganda.
So of course I'm impartial. I think Uganda is the most beautiful place, and I think. They call it the Pearl of Africa.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was, don't quote me on this, but I think it was Roosevelt that visited one time, and he called it the Pearl of Africa. I think it's beautiful. I think Africa, in my honest opinion, is the next, like if you have money you want to invest or things you want to build, I think your money you should really take a close look to Africa. The innovation, the hard work, the youth and the growth of that planet is going to explode.
I always found it odd that it's the most rich country in natural resources, but one of the most impoverished.
Yeah, it's the richest. You're right. It is the richest continent in natural resources, but we get taken advantage of, right? Through college, to all these different things. But I think this new generation is different. Right. These these young. Here's what. This new wave of information, think about this for a second. Like, if you were in a third world country, you now still have a smartphone.
So
right? Which means that a kid in Uganda, in a hut in Uganda, has more computing power today than even Bill Clinton had when he was in office.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we are now more connected than ever before.
Right.
And we understand. Like, now we have a billion more voices in this continent that we cannot hear from. So people have access to information.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you're gonna see an explosion in infrastructure in development, and of course we still have our tough times, because especially even in my country, we had the same president for over 30 years, you know, and people are tired of that. But
so you think there's going to be a revolution soon?
it has to be.
Right.
It has to be.
And who's the current sitting president?
Yoweri Museveni. But this guy has been sitting on a, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if you look at Ethiopia, if you look at even Kenya, and I mean, if you look at all these companies, Ghana is doing really well. Like, if you look at all these different countries, because here's the fundamental thing about Africa: people work hard.
Right.
I'm talking about extremely hard. So once you give them the infrastructures and the resources, they're gonna work hard. Right. So so I think there's a lot of opportunity there, and in investment and building wealth and creating like real infrastructures in these countries that is already exploding. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about it.
So with the technology boom, and I feel like a lot of genres in general, period, whether it be music, whether it be education, like this new boom of technology, and I feel like now it's just starting to blossom, because now everybody's connected to the internet. Whereas when we were in college in 2004, 2005, it's like you kind of had access a little bit, and then now it's like the internet is interwoven in our lives.
100%.
It's here, and it's not going anywhere, and it's going to change things forever. And this is just. We're just babies in it right now. So where do you think the future of finance is, and how does technology play a part in the future of finances?
That's an amazing question. I think
how have you seen it change just in your when you first stepped into the game, the finance game, right? And then technology has came. Like how big of a jump have you seen, and like what are the things that you've seen?
Oh, I mean, it's been exponential. Right. I mean, even these new digital currencies. You know what I mean?
It's not Bitcoin.
Yeah, all the, you know, and how that's and those type of things, or even just the software, the robo advisors. Like there's so much going on. You know what I mean? In the financial industry, I think the financial industry, to me though, where we lack in is the literacy for not the 1%. Right. Everybody still caters to the 1%. Like or the the people that have the wealth, you know, and it's so backwards to me, because this whole country is built on small businesses.
100%.
Right? And so like what are we doing to make sure that those people have a plan? That's why I think like companies like LearnVest are so incredible.
Right. And LearnVest, for people that don't know, LearnVest is a company.
Yeah, LearnVest is this incredible incredible company who's like even in the playing field, so that every American can have a financial plan for the cost of a gym membership. You know what I mean?
So what do you think?
So I think those type of things that's what I'm most excited about.
Right.
These incredible leaders, like Alexa Von Tobel, these incredible leaders who are building like software and technology for the everyday American, because most of it is only catered to people with investable assets.
So do you feel like right now it is an even playing field? Like in the financial markets, that's not an even playing field. So it's not. So if what would you think would happen if the technology boom greatly influences financial literacy throughout communities of all walks all over America? What would you think the uproar would be if people really get an understanding of the financial markets and how the game is kind of rigged?
Well, I think then you choose not to play the game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think if you really understood like how Wall Street worked, how these active portfolio managers work, how there's one buying and one selling and somebody's losing. Like if you understood all of that stuff, then you just wouldn't play that game.
Right.
You would have just strong disciplines. You know what I mean? You make a certain amount of money, you save at a certain clip.
Right.
That percentage you invest in a long-term portfolio. We just buy and you hold.
Right.
You just take yourself out of the game,
Right.
and you get, you know what I mean, and you compound over time through saving.
Right.
So once this, like, not to get on that tangent, but this other stuff people are just being taken advantage of.
Right.
I mean, the fact that banks can also like sell products blows my mind. It's like
sell products.
Like it blows my mind.
It sounds like you need a lot of discipline and patience for what you're talking about, and a lot of people don't have it, so that's why they can take advantage, because no one has the patience.
I think not only is that true, I think the way the system is set up is very few take advantage of the most. You know what I mean? Like the few take advantage of the many. You know what I mean? And no one wants to listen to like solid advice. It's like losing weight is not that complicated. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like stop eating bad and work out 3 times a week. You know what I mean? Or don't even work out. Just like cut out the sugars and cut out like the carbs and cut out all these things, and you're gonna be fine.
Right.
But it's that day-to-day discipline that you speak about that people don't have. So they think surely there's a new diet out there that can give me these magical results. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's not
a pill.
Or a pill, but that's not you're not changing your lifestyle. You just change in a moment. You know what I mean? And so,
Patrice O'Neal had a great bit
What
about
is it?
that. He said, fat people. He said, as soon as they go on those big fat loser shows, he said, as soon as they leave, that they're fat again, because you're just a fatty. That's what you are. You don't change your ethic. He's hilarious. He said, I'm fat. This is what I am. So hilarious, dog.
And I think,
but it's the truth. But it's the truth.
I think finance is the same.
If you don't change your ethics, and if you don't change your values of your pillars of values,
there's no get rich. Like it's daily habits of living below your means. You know what I mean? And like understanding that like your credit card should be from emergency, not to get the shoes that you want because you don't have the cash for them.
Right.
But why are you spending that credit card on shoes you can't afford? Because your value system is out of whack. You trying to impress. You're trying to feel better about yourself. You're trying to impress. Impress.
Trying to look rich to a bunch of broke people.
That's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
You told me something that blew my mind.
It's all values.
You told me something that blew my mind because I wanted to. I didn't want to get a boat. I think I wanted to go charter a private plane somewhere. Yada yada yada. And I was like, but I gotta wait until I got at least 100 M's liquid. I have these big ambitions, right? And then you said, you don't need. You can live the same lifestyle at $10 million as you can at $100 million. So you don't have to have a plane. So you can charter a plane. You don't have to have a boat. You can rent a boat, because then you have to pay for maintenance. You have to pay all of these things. So you can live the life you want to live within your means. Like, you just have to be honest about where you are financially and stop fooling yourself.
100%.
Stop fooling yourself.
And also, like, and the what I try to convey is like your life is really, really good. It's already good. So all these things that you think are gonna bring more happiness, we have research to show it's just not true. Because the richness of your life, there's nothing you can buy. It's all aligned with how rich your relationships are.
Right.
The reason why you're so happy now is because you have the woman you love. You have not because the stock market has been doing great.
It has been doing great.
It has, but that's not why you're happy though. Does that make sense?
For sure.
So
for sure.
I think you want to get to a point in your life where the things that are priceless are the things you sacrifice for, not the things you sacrifice.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Man.
I think you want to get to that point.
I almost don't want to introduce you to the world, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I think you should stay back in your closet. Because it don't matter how positive somebody is.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some fucking troll that's just talking shit, and
100%.
they don't deserve you, man. The trolls don't deserve you, but the other people that need to hear it do, man.
Yeah.
And I don't want to introduce you to the world. I hate to be the one to do it to you, man. I think I was the first one to introduce you to wine too.
Yeah,
I apologize for that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's hilarious.
But values. You know, what's it like? What like values? And I think people don't want to have honest conversations
Right.
with themselves about what they value.
Right.
Because
About anything.
It's true. It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
But I
true.
think it was one of your sayings, like you got to have an honest mirror.
Yeah.
Like you got to have an honest mirror, because then you at least are starting from a place of like, you're starting from a place of like sincerity, and you have somewhere you can go.
Right.
You know, I was there's this thing that fascinates me that I want to share. It's like a couple of years ago I read an article about how like elephants are trained in the zoo. Okay?
Is it?
Baby elephants, when they're young, they put a neck around them and they tie them to like a tree or a pole. And when they're young, they try and fight to break away. They try to fight to break away. And every day they keep tying them up to that pole, and they can't break away. They can't break away. They can't break away. Eventually, they stop trying to break away, right? Because they're like, okay, I don't have the strength to do so. What's fascinating is when they grow into adult elephants, and now they're over 2,000 pounds. They have the force, the strength, the might to even pull the pole out of the ground, or to pull a tree out of the ground, right? If you put a rope on them, they never move.
Wow.
Right? And I'm fascinated by that, because what happens in your childhood, like has an amazing, like it's almost insurmountable impact on who you become as an adult.
Right.
So you have to ask yourself, like, what ropes have I been chained to when I was a kid that is still affecting me as a grown person? Though I'm smart enough, I have the resources, I have the intelligence, I have the strength, I still can't break away. And when you start to get those answers, you have a chance to not be enslaved to these chains.
Jesus.
But nobody has those conversations.
So what's something that you like a habit you had to break? You had to sit down and have honest conversations. Like I can't do this anymore, because I have a lot.
Right. Well, habits are a funny thing, because everybody that you meet who's like progressively thinking about like becoming a better version of themselves,
Right.
who's like going to like these like retreats or whatever, reading great books, like really working hard to be a better person.
Right.
They all have a to-do list, but very few people have a stop doing list.
Oh man.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When it's really the shit you need to stop doing that's going to have the biggest impact on your life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I see incredible to-do list. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to do this. Well, maybe you should have a stop doing this and say, stop procrastinating. Because if you stop procrastinating, maybe you will go to school. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So it's like everybody has...
doing list.
Yeah, everybody has this incredible to-do list that are just
They
legendary.
might have a to-do list for that to-do
You know what I'm
list.
saying? They got, yeah, I'm gonna go to school next year. I'm gonna finish my major. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. But I'm like, the reason why you haven't done it, the reason why your to-do list is so big is because you have character and traits that you need to stop doing that are stopping you from your to-do list.
Right.
Forget the to-do list. Write the stop doing list.
That's so.
You know what I mean?
That's so real.
So
though.
one of the things I had to stop breaking is I'm too much of a nice person. So like I say yes to everything.
That's true.
I'm like, Humble, can you come speak here? Yes. Hey, can you come to this event?
Right.
Yes. Hey, Humble, can you do this? Yes. You know what I mean?
Right.
But over time, it was like
It wears on you.
it was.
You're taking too many 45-minute breaks.
It was. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to be better at like discerning, like,
Right.
you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, how do you discern? Like, how do you figure out the things that you really need to be at and things that you don't? You have to stop. You know.
So how do you decipher what do you give your time to and what do you not?
I think my son has helped me with that.
Right. Or give you an excuse.
Or maybe
So
give
why
me
is
an
it why you can't
excuse,
go?
you know what I mean? Because I'm looking at him, I'm like, nah, I'm not doing it.
I can't.
No, well, I'm like, now it's just, what I'm saying, habits I had to stop doing. You know what I mean?
right,
It's just
right.
like, it's like, you got to be better with your time. Like, you know what I mean? You can't say yes to everything. You know what I mean? Because then you have little left for like the people that depend on that time. You know,
Or even yourself.
or even yourself.
Yeah,
You know, things like that. But the biggest change in my life happened when I started behavior. You change your behavior, you change your life.
So how do you change your behavior? How do you, if I'm doing something and I know it's self-destructive, how do I change that?
One, accept the fact. You say, you know what?
have a
I'm
problem.
doing something that's self-destructive.
I got you.
Then you find an accountability person that you trust, and don't get mad at them if they're honest with you.
Right.
You gotta really want to.
I think exactly. I think
Yeah.
the biggest problem is we get mad at the people that are really honest with us.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? My big the clients that I have the hardest times with are the clients that think I'm just so hard on them.
Right.
No, this is what like caring feels like.
A lie to you all day.
That's what I'm saying. Like, do you honestly feel like do you honestly think I want to have these tough conversations every single day with you?
Right.
Surely not. But this is what you really need to hear, because this is really, really the best prescription of the best advice that I have. You know what I mean? And if it was great, I would do it too. No,
Right.
don't do it. So you have to listen to those people as well. And you have to accept that it's a journey. You know what I mean? Like it's a journey to evolve, right?
Right.
But it's a journey that you have to get better at every single day. Like the biggest excuse that I hear all the time is, man, I'm human, man. I'm gonna mess up. That is silly. Like that is silly. You are intelligent.
Right.
Like
It's definitely a crutch.
I
People use that a
guess what
lot.
I'm saying. Yo, the first time it's a mistake.
Right.
The second time it's a choice.
That's true. Oof.
It's a choice.
Man.
Like you were you were born innately knowing right from wrong. Like nobody ever told you like, hey, Arian, don't slap your mother. Like don't. Like, you're born. Like I'm
I
telling you.
don't know about that one.
I'm telling you.
Because right or wrong is cultural.
But I agree with that. But what I'm saying is like.
But if it's innate, if you're saying innate,
What I'm saying, what I'm saying is like, I agree with that. Right or wrong is cultural. What I'm saying is like, your heart knows, like your heart, when you do something good,
Right.
it feels a certain way. When you do something bad, your heart feels a certain way.
but I couldn't say it's innate though.
I'm telling you.
Because okay, let's say I'm a serial murderer, and I enjoy murdering people, and when I do it, I feel good inside for whatever sick reason. No. I
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
play devil's advocate,
Yeah.
because I think that's an important thing. So if I know I'm doing something that's self-destructive, I would know that it was wrong. But if I'm doing something and I don't know it's self-destructive, I wouldn't know that it's wrong.
But the thing, we as human beings, we're blessed with this ability to conceptualize and to like reframe our thinking.
I think you're giving people way too much
No,
credit.
I'm telling you, no, that's the difference. Like,
I think people are genuinely stupid.
No. I think even when people are being stupid, they're choosing their benefit over that principle. Like, it's like.
But do you think people's cognitive ability to discern, not even discern, their ability to weigh the consequences and really understand the consequences is there
I think that's another level of
for the
thinking.
majority of people? That's what I'm trying to say.
But I'm not talking about consequences.
But that's exactly when we talk about choice.
But I'm talking about you wake up in the morning as a 7-year-old.
Right.
Like, like in that moment, you know left and right and how to move. And as you grow older, you start to justify it differently. So that excuse that insight about the serial murder, right?
Right.
The benefit of killing people is more. It means more to him, right, than the principle of not killing people.
Right.
Because if he thought like that was the thing to do, he would do it openly.
Right.
But he goes out of his way to like snipe, to like not get caught because
Okay.
he knows.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So like I think we overcomplicate things as human beings, and what I'm saying by that is just like do what you feel is right in your heart, which you feel is gonna be right to the people that you love, and live with the consequences.
Right.
Because no matter what happens, at least you are honorable. Right. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think for most rational human beings, that's a good way to live. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of people that aren't rational, man. Like I'm trying, like I feel like.
But even
I know you live in this
even
anonymity box, man.
Where it's just me and my thoughts.
But I get a chance to see a lot of people, man, and they're not as smart as you think they are.
Well, only the strongest survive. So eventually,
But it's true.
The irrational people might die off, and they'll.
I would hope we would have got there through this millions of years of of evolution, but we haven't got there yet.
I think
there's some stupid motherfuckers out there, man.
I think they're.
I'm a pessimist when it comes to people. I'm a super pessimist.
That's definitely evident.
It's not
But
that
see-
I don't hate people.
Yeah.
I don't like none of that stuff. I just think the majority of people, I don't want to say majority, there's a big percentage of people out there who are just selfish, right? And I don't mean selfish like I'm taking this day and doing what I want to. Not that selfish.
Yeah.
Selfish to the point of like Sharky. If they had a chance to turn a knife, they would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how you discern good from bad. Is like when you have that opportunity to do right from wrong, what do you do?
Now, what percentage of the world are those people?
I mean, it would be a made up number in my head.
That's what I'm saying.
I couldn't know. But
No, of course not. But I'm saying, what would you think the percentage is?
if I had to give it a number,
Yeah.
I would say it's around 50 to 60.
Half of the people.
Half
Half of the people.
of the people on this earth are not good people.
Whew. Yeah.
I just feel like that.
I would say.
I said I was a pessimist. I
yeah,
said this.
Yeah, I would say.
But I mean, think about it though. There's 7 billion people on this earth,
Mm-hmm.
and it's growing exponentially.
Right.
Natural selection is going to take out a lot of the assholes, right? Or maybe not, because really being an asshole in this society is beneficial to
Nice
you.
guys finish last.
100%. But there's 7 billion people. That means there's 3.5 billion people that are great people, that are good people. That's a lot of people, man. But the majority of them, they just kind of follow the flow of the society's norms. And society's norm right now is to be selfish and is to be greedy. It's super beneficial for you to be. I always say,
You talking about the American society?
yeah.
Okay.
So I mean that's 300 million people, right? Roughly 300,
Yeah, so
300 million people.
350 of them.
So I always say 50% of good business is bad morals.
Mm.
I mean, and you're a businessman more than I'm a businessman. Would you agree with that statement?
Are you kidding me? I definitely agree with it, because like I see it like, yeah, for sure. I see the people that yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people do. Yeah, for
Because
sure.
I feel like you can make an honest dollar and you can make a lot of money being a good human being. But there are certain things that you have to do in business sometimes that just aren't good morally. You have to lay people off. You have to cut corners around guys that are quote unquote doing it the right way. You have to do certain things sometimes that are immoral, if according to what your moral standards are. But that's the society we live in. And in the society we live in, I feel like we live in a society full of like lemmings. They kind of just go with the flow. A lot of people. And if you ask them each individually, like, no, I'm doing my own thing. I'm my own independent person.
Right.
I'm me. I'm this. I'm that. I'm that. And then you look at it in the macro. They're doing the same thing everybody else is doing. And they just want to be happy in their own right. But happy in their own right usually comes at a price.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's why I'm pessimistic, because of the society that we live in, and I'm doing the best I can to try to combat that. But I don't see much hope in the near future. All I can do is continue to try to be the best person I am, which I be fucking up a lot too.
Right.
But I just got to be the best human I can and give as much as I can before I'm in that box, man.
Yeah, I mean that's what to me. It's it's so important to be the person you want the world to be, right? Like so it's almost like if everybody does their part, then the world becomes a better place, right? But I do agree that there's a lot of that stuff, right? That's negative and all. But to me, I just focus on the good, and that's what I see.
I'm not there with the 45 minutes yet.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it weighs on me a little more, man. I be
yeah.
pissed off. I be pissed off, man, because man, motherfuckers will take advantage of you, man. That kindness for weakness thing, it's real.
Yeah.
It's real. And I do my best to filter it, but sometimes
But
it
what
weighs me down.
do you lose if you get taken advantage of? What do you lose?
Well, in today's world, you lose. You're right.
You see what I'm
See,
saying?
and this is why I call you all the time when I'm pissed off.
Yeah. What do you lose? Like, it's like, as long as
You're right.
the babies are healthy.
Yeah, you know what?
And
you know what it is? It's because like I work my ass off, work, doing the right thing, treating people the right way, and all of a sudden you come across somebody who doesn't do that, and it just is like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Absolutely.
And it ruins me inside a little bit every single time. And then when you see it, the more often you see it, the less and less hope that I end up having for humanity. And I think I have a very different vantage point than 99% of America.
Yeah.
I get to travel all the time. I get to meet people all the time.
Right.
And for the most part, it's good. But then you see so many people just out for themselves, and it's all about themselves.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean,
and the funny thing is, they're trying to get to the place where you're at, and you're sitting here telling them like, "This is not it, bro. I'm trying to tell you, this is not it."
but what does it go back to? Values.
The 5 pillars.
They go back to values. They just don't. They don't. Nothing. They don't have the values.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. And I just think that, like, at the end of the day, if you are value driven, then you give yourself the best chance to live a rich life. That has nothing to do with money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So those type of people, which we all run into in business, we all run into in life, man, I just wish them well. Like, but
Right.
I'm not, I'm not obligated to do business with you.
Right.
I'm not obligated to be in your life or vice versa.
Right.
So I'm going to find the other people you're talking about that are really good people.
The-
and just
the 40, 50%.
and just collect a meaningful life with them. And we can still accomplish our goals, and we can still do a lot of good things.
You know what? Another thing that bothers me about it is, and I agree 100%. It's like you just like all you can control is what you can control. But another thing that bothers me about it is the influence it has over people who are kind of right on the fence, right? And they don't know any better. That's what really bothers me, man. Is how much influence it has over people.
Well, I mean, we see that. We see that. We see that with the election. We see that. I mean, even for what's going on in the NFL with the players protesting. What blows my mind about that is just like it's almost like as long as you're getting money together, like that, like get him the ball.
Right.
But if he's like passionate about something, don't stand by him. Right?
Right.
Like even in that moment, like you seen like capitalism take over humanity.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like
see, that's what I'm talking
about.
about.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it's crazy to me.
Right.
Like
And nationalism.
When owners are like saying, "Don't do that." I mean, that's somebody's right, right?
Right.
That's their right. So when you stampeding on somebody's right over capitalism, so we've lost our way.
because let's get it clear. Like the owners don't give a flying fuck about any kind of social issues. Maybe one or two out of the bunch, but all they care about is are people buying what I'm selling.
Man,
they care about is
we
we
getting pressures from our corporate sponsors. This is not a good look. What are you doing?
Yeah.
We talking about capitalism, right? So, and I read a great quote one time that said, I forgot what it may have been Dr. King, but he said that in times of adversity, you don't remember the words of your enemies. You remember the silence of your friends.
Wow. You don't remember the words of your enemies. You remember the silence of your friends.
You remember the silence of your friends.
That is so on point for this conversation.
Yeah. So we'll see. You know what I mean?
That's
we'll see. You remember the silence of your friends, right?
Wow.
But to go back to being taken advantage of, it's like, damn, like, more money? Like, you are willing to go over humanity for more money?
Yeah, there comes a point where
like enough has to be enough at some point.
Yeah, there comes a point where I'm good enough right now to where I could just ride off into the sunset and just wipe my hands of society and go live in my little hut and live my days.
In Uganda.
Yeah, man. Live my
That'll
days.
be full circle.
Live the rest of my days just drinking myself to death and enjoying my life, however I want to do it.
Yeah.
But I want to accrue as much as I can so I can help as much people I can.
100%.
That's all I want to do. And that's all I'm focused on right now. It's kind of it's hard transitioning because you're always labeled as that football player.
Yeah.
But I'm in a weird place right now. I want to get your opinion on it because your 30s, early 30s is a weird age.
Tell me more.
Early 30s is an age where the young cats are calling you old and the old cats are calling you young. It's so weird, man.
Yeah,
and you feel like that. You don't feel young,
Yeah.
but you don't feel old.
No.
And it's like you're in this you're in this purgatory of age. You know what I mean? And you have this like fork in the road of like, all right, I gotta. It's time to start being it because like I'm 31.
Yeah,
31. Jeez, I'm 31.
Me too.
I don't feel like I am a full-fledged adult yet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I pray that never changes.
100%. Yeah.
My motto: don't let old in.
Don't let old in.
No, don't let old in, man. You know.
What did you expect adulthood to feel like?
I had nobody tells you about what it's going to be or what it's going to be like, because when you get to the age that your parents were, you realize real quickly they was just making it up as they went along.
Yeah, no, I go speak at different schools and I always see I go, man, this teacher that was sending referrals was 25.
Asshole.
You know what I mean? Like, you were just mad at me because your boyfriend was late, you know? Like, you were 25, you know? Like, I remember you were 27.
That's
you know
crazy.
what I mean? Man, but I think the reason why you're rolling into your 30s not feel like an adult yet, right? Is because you associate adultness with stress. Because we grew up stressed as hell. Like our parents stressed as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you think like adult should be more serious. Like why am I not as stressed?
Right.
You almost get threatened when you're growing up. Like, wait till you grow up.
Wait till you grow up.
It is.
Exactly.
It is a threat.
Yeah,
oh my
you know what I'm
God.
saying?
So wait till you get real problems.
As you keep getting older and things keep being okay, you're like, okay.
You're just waiting. It's like a ticking time bomb.
You're like, okay. Well, this is what the stress they were telling me about. You know? But the difference is, I think your 20s have set up your 30s, and your 30s are gonna set up your 40s, and you're gonna keep going through life as
waiting on adulthood.
Like, where is the stress coming from? You know. But there's a difference, though. There's a difference. Better to go through hell young.
Yeah.
Because then you have the rest of your life to overcome and to learn and to grow.
Right.
Rather than have adversity later.
Right.
Because then it's like the first time you've dealt with it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I think a lot of we're all lucky to have went through our adulthood young. So what you did is you sacrificed your childhood because you had to grow up so fast.
They could have that shit.
That's what I'm saying, though. But you had to grow up so fast. So,
Yeah, you're right.
so the same way you never had a chance to be a child,
Right.
is the same way you may not have a chance to be an adult.
I like it.
And I'll take it every time.
Every single time, man.
Because you were dealing with real stuff when you were in your teens.
Yeah.
So.
I was in Home Depot a while back. I was building out this podcast studio actually, so we're getting all the materials. Shout out to Jeremy, man. He did it, man. He had a vision for it.
Looks great.
But yeah, it's awesome. But so we're getting all these wood panels and we're going through all the process, and they have these carts where you can put all your stuff on. And I'm 31 years old, and I can't resist the urge to push the cart and then put my feet on, jump on it, and just ride the wave, right?
Yeah.
And my man's just like, "You're not gonna grow up, are you?" I'm like, I didn't even think about it, but probably not.
Sounds overrated to me.
It really is, man. It really is. And I kind of watch how my mom moves. And she's 58 right now.
Yeah.
We just had her on the podcast, and she's very similar. She kind of just goes through life, man. Not really an adult either.
Yeah. I think that's just a metaphor for peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a metaphor for peace of mind. I think because adulthood has always looked a certain way.
Right.
How we gonna make the bills? How we gonna take care of this? How we gonna take care of this? How you gonna take care of this? Like I remember, like coming home and you just scared to come home because you know it's gonna be, it's just tough.
Right.
So to be able to be in a position where we've changed the trajectory of our families, and we don't have those conversations.
Right.
Like when's the last time we've had that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we just don't have those conversations anymore.
Right.
So when you have that peace of mind, the energy that was reserved for the stress, it just goes into being being free.
Right.
That's why I always say that.
So what is freedom? What is freedom to you? Define freedom to you?
Like freedom to me, I don't even know if I can find a definition, but freedom to me is. Let me finish my thought before I say that.
I apologize.
To me, that's what it's all about when you become financially secure. It's not about the money; it's about the freedom.
Right.
what freedom brings.
Right.
And to me, what freedom really means is for everything on your calendar, or to be there because you want it there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And to just be free from any ceiling, any limitations, to never have to depend on the system or anything for that matter. To be able to help when you want to, you know, to be boundless, you know, that's freedom to me. To be boundless, you know.
So do you feel free right now?
Absolutely, it's one of my 5 pillars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why no matter how many times, you know, these huge wirehouses want to buy my firm, I simply refuse.
Right.
You can't give me what's priceless.
Right. Right. And so,
freedom is everything.
As a young 31-year-old
yeah.
successful entrepreneur,
yeah,
give me some advice for these young cats out here that are thinking about starting their own business. Because, like you said,
and they're young.
They're young.
Go now.
Go now.
Yeah.
Go now.
Because being
Woo, that's deep. Though.
Go now.
That's deep.
Because being young, like being young, you don't know what you don't know. Therefore, you're not afraid.
Yeah. Because if you knew now what you did back then,
man,
been a little more timid in the waters.
I mean, man, you keep reading about, you know what I mean. You wait until you're in your 30s, and now you know what it's like. It makes it hard. Go now,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Because you have your whole life to find it out. Go now.
To recover from those mistakes.
And recover, because there's going to be some falls. And also realize, like, there's a difference between having resources and being resourceful. Those two things are not the same.
Expound on that, though.
Because you meet a lot of people and they go, well, if I had the money, if I had the time, I have a career. Like, yo, if you work in a full-time job right now and you're working from 8 to 5, okay, or 8 to whatever they call it, 9 to 5, like, when you come home, like, what about that, like, 10, like 9:30 to like 1 a.m. What are you doing with those? What are you doing for those hours?
Right.
If I only had a brain.
You see what I'm saying? It's a go get it. Like if you work in a day job, then find time to work on your dream until your dreams becomes a day job.
Right.
So that
and
means,
then
that
feel like a job.
That means, you know what I'm saying? That means you may have less time for friends. You may have less time for.
But talk about
out.
that. So
But people don't want to make the sacrifices. Like when I was in college, I didn't have, like he said, I had my first glass of wine with him,
right?
And it was after he signed his deal. Like we had something to celebrate,
right?
Like I didn't go out, I didn't party, I didn't drink, I didn't do anything until I was like 27, 28. Right. Not because I was trying to make something of myself. I think you have to sacrifice.
And now you're a Japanese.
I'm fancy now.
I don't even know. I can. What's your drink of choice now?
It's this hibiki Japanese whiskey. It's just nice little. But my brother.
I gave him a glass of Merlot, and I thought I was fancy. He got this hibiki Japanese whiskey.
It's my brother Jerome's fault, man. It was my birthday, and he sent me the gift. I said, oh man,
I found the one.
I said, oh man. So shout out to him. But what I'm saying is like go now. But also don't stop be resourceful, right?
Right.
So I'll give you some clear tips that can help. So when I was coming up, I couldn't afford. You can't afford to have you can't afford to pay people to have consultants, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So I would find people that I really, really respected who had the information that I had, and I wouldn't ask them to mentor me.
Right.
Man, people who are successful and busy don't have time.
Right.
They just don't, right? So I would figure out how to batter services. I'm like, all right. Man, let me mow your lawn.
Wow.
Like I'll mow your lawn. You know what I'm saying? Like what do you need that I can do in exchange for your time? Then you stack up against other young people because they go, man, he's bringing value into my life.
So just because that's crazy. It's an important point to rehash or reemphasize is you go to people that you want to be mentored by, understanding that they don't have the time to sit down with a stranger and say, mentor you. So you say, how can I be of value to you? Can I mow your lawn for 30 minutes?
Can I mow your lawn?
And then you talk to me for 30 minutes.
100%.
And they gladly exchange that because then, I mean, that's just that drive.
Exactly. And they've never heard nothing like that before.
It also goes back to your quote. You said to get something in the world, you got to be able to give.
Exactly. And furthermore, so figure that out. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some tips to work for me. Figure that out, right? How to add value before you try to take from it, right? 2,
Just right there though is
you
so
have
important.
you have to know how to network, okay? And here's some
I
tips.
learned networking
here's
from
some,
you.
here's some tips on networking. Like, most people go to like networking events, try to like, with their business cards and trying to meet people and exchange business cards. And how many times do you go home after the networking event, you have like 30 business cards and you don't remember nobody, right? The key, man, is to go into a room and pick your 3 horses that you are going to talk to the whole time.
Right.
So you're going to be an inch wide and a mile deep.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the way you do that is you say, hey, how you doing? My name is such and such. And you ask them straight off the bat, like, what are you working on right now that really, really has you inspired?
Right.
Depending on that answer, you know if that's the right horse to bet on.
And what answer are you looking for?
I don't know. I'm just giving general advice for
Right.
whatever networking rooms people are in.
Right.
I don't know if they're
I think-
I don't know if they're in engineering. I don't know if they're in sales. All I'm saying
Right.
is, if you go into a room and you ask people what are they working on, that's got them genuinely inspired, and they give you like, and you can see their energy.
Right.
That's somebody that's going somewhere, because you cannot fake curiosity and passion and commitment.
Right.
Then network with 2 or 3 of those people and get their business cards. That way, when you leave, you didn't leave as somebody they met. You left as a friend.
Right. And I think an
You know what I'm
important,
saying? So those are the type of things you got to think about.
an important branch off of that you taught me was, when you're talking to somebody, you're trying to network with people, is to dig into their lives, ask them questions,
you
because
ask the
at
questions.
functions like that where you're trying to network and you're trying to meet people, a lot of the times people just want to talk about themselves.
100%.
They just want to talk about themselves all the time. And when somebody is genuinely interested in you,
100%.
they remember you more.
100%.
And so I learned that definitely from you.
more important to be interested than to be interesting.
Yeah, I stole that a long
You know what I mean?
time
A lot of
ago
people try to
from
be
you.
interesting, just like that. But at the end of the day,
Before you get to the end, you got to tell this story, because it's about your entrepreneur life and your jump start. What did you do in the suburbs of Denver, Colorado, with the candy bars? You got to tell them that story, man.
man,
Because this shit is
I
brilliant.
don't want to ruin it for the other youngsters. on part two. Let me give them some more tools they can use right away. In any
Man, you got to say that story. I'm not letting you get away. You got to say that story. What did you used to do?
Man, hey, that's part 2. We're gonna make them.
You
But I'm writing a book right now too. So there's
you
a lot
putting
of,
that in there?
There's a lot of things I have to.
I apologize. I
Yeah.
got you.
There's other people.
You got to save some.
Yeah,
you got to keep it in the holster.
Yeah, there's some people that are there's a lot of stake. We can't afford mistakes.
I don't know. And you giving this to me for free, so I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying?
So for young people though,
Right.
like especially those that don't come from like, first of all, like I even hate like the word internship, because for you to even be able to work for free means you come from a family that's affluent enough to where they can sponsor you, right?
Right,
So those opportunities don't come for us as people of color, right? So nothing I'm more passionate about than seeing like young people of color find their way, because it's gonna be tough, right? But you can do it. But what I want them to really, really understand is that make sure that the dream you're chasing is your own. Because sometimes like it's too easy to see something working for somebody else and being like, no, that's what I want to do.
Right.
Like, nah, like matter of fact, don't even worry about what you want to do. Just get it. Like, just don't even worry about if you don't know what you want to do, then just practice the habits of successful people, which is commitment, drive. Like you can be the working a enterprise rent a car. You know what I mean? Like just washing cars. Will be the best car washer there. If you start to sell people insurance and getting them into the cars, now you're a customer rep. Be the best customer rep, because like just be wherever you find yourself when you hear this. Like, go be excellent, because all you're doing is building the muscle memory for when like that idea finally comes.
Right.
And when that idea comes and you have that muscle memory, nothing will stop you. The reason you don't succeed isn't because it wasn't there for you to get there. It's because you don't have those habits of excellence. I find two things that people just don't have a fair assessment on. One is their work ethic.
Right.
people think because they're the hardest working person in their circle that they work hard. No, you just the best of the average ones. You still average.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or they don't have an honest assessment of their skill level.
Right.
So then they don't work at their craft.
That's so key.
But I've never met somebody, man, who was really, really committed and had a world-class work ethic, who worked at their craft relentlessly, you know, and that complained of never making it.
It's true,
I've
though.
never seen it.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially a really good human, a really genuinely good person who's extremely committed to excellence and extremely committed to just getting better. I've never seen them look up, 5-10 years and go, oh man, this thing ain't working out for me.
Yeah.
It's the people that are just full of shit, like in the sense of like.
So you with me?
No. In the sense of when it comes to their dreams.
Yeah, no, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like when it comes to their dreams, and what happens in your 30s, as we all hitting these 30s, is you start to see.
Yeah.
You start to see those dreams deflate. You know when you start to see them hoop dreams deflate, like Jay-Z used to say. You know what I'm saying? You start to see, like, you know what I mean? Like, did you really become who you thought you was gonna become? Like the 30s are honest age.
30 is.
I'm telling you, in your
It's
early
tough.
30s, you start to see if that movie
30s,
looks
yeah.
exactly how you thought you was writing it.
Yeah.
And
30s are tough for cats that still don't know what they want to do.
But why don't you know what you want to do? It's not because you don't know what you want to do. It's because it's more important to develop the habits. Just get better at getting better, because I always say, like, it's like, imagine driving from L.A. to New York City, right, in the pitch dark, and the only thing you can see is the 100 feet of headlight that your car is giving you, right? And if you keep driving, the next 100 feet show up, and the next 100 feet show up, and the next 100 feet show up, and you can get from L.A. to New York City in the pitch darkness, only seeing 100 feet at a time.
Right.
That's how life is. Like, you don't know where you're gonna be, but you have that 100 feet. What are you gonna do in that 100 feet?
Jesus.
Like, because the next 100 feet is set up by this 100 feet.
Right.
So if you're not gonna be, if you're
That's
not gonna
profound,
be, if
man.
you're not gonna be excellent, or at least be committed, when are you even gonna find? Where are you gonna find that muscle?
I think that's the problem with people in general.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, how
Because
bad do you want
it's
to
like,
get to New York?
you know what I mean?
No, that's right. I mean,
But
yeah,
how bad you want to get to your dream?
And in that
how
metaphor,
do you want to get back to that dream?
And in that metaphor, people don't really want to get
They
to
don't
New
really
York.
want to get there, bro.
People want to tell people they're getting to New York,
But they
you
don't
know what I
wanna
mean?
get there.
And nobody
100%.
wants to fucking get there.
Nobody wants to
And
get
it-
there,
and
bro.
It takes 100.
Bro, I'll tell you a story
Or
at a
they'd be
time.
like,
I'll tell you a
"Man,
story.
New York ain't even there.
No, I'll tell you a
I've
story.
been there. It ain't there.
No, I'll tell you a story.
Turn back.
I'll tell you a story all the time when I'm talking to kids. I'm like, when you was first coming out of college, right, and you was undrafted, and you were 6'1", like 247,
That's cool. Yeah.
250,
Not
just
true.
fat, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate
right?
it. Yeah.
That same person, in his soul, still, you know what I mean? Still had the dreams to get to New York. But what changed to the 6'1", 227, 30 animal?
Premium gas.
Man, you said that's what I'm saying. Your whole,
I was
your whole,
drinking premium,
man,
yeah.
you man, the whole work ethic changed.
I did. I changed everything.
Man, bro, you and Abdul said, "I'm about to," you know what I mean? You changed everything.
Right.
You changed everything. You changed your phone. If somebody was not committed, your friends, your family, if there was not a part where you were going, they couldn't get a hold of you. Everything changed.
That's true.
But both of those people, what you got, both of those people still deserved. But if one would have kept lying to themselves,
Right.
then you would have been you wouldn't even have made the practice squad. Right. You wouldn't have been the legend you become.
Right.
I'm telling you, like, in you is something special. If you whether you pull it, listen, your door only you could unlock.
Right.
Like, I'm telling
That's
you,
real.
I'm telling you, your door only you can
It's
unlock.
like a Thor kind of thing.
That's what I'm saying. I can't unlock your door for you. So
So you don't know what you don't know. If somebody doesn't understand that about themselves, how can how can they?
but we live in the information age,
Right. So there's no excuse,
bro.
for
Bro, like, our parents, God bless them.
that. They did what they could.
They did what they
Yeah,
could.
yeah, yeah.
And the older you get, you realize, man, Pop gave me everything he had.
Right.
He didn't have the information.
Right.
He didn't have the
We
information.
don't have any excuse now.
We don't have an excuse. Like, we have the information.
Right.
Like anything you want to do, you're not the first person at it. Trust me.
Right.
Somebody else has already done it, and you probably connected with that person because you follow them on all the social media.
Right.
Like if you you can do anything, but the thing is, do you want to?
Right.
Like, do you want to?
It's that sacrifice.
Do you want to?
It's that
So like
sacrifice.
I've seen people go. I've seen you go from walking out of your mother's house, looking her in the eye and saying, "I'm not coming back until I make something of myself. I'm gonna go find my way."
Right.
And I've seen you find you. I've seen you go in this middle. I've seen you go on that run. I've seen the pain that it takes. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, Issa Rae, who in my honest opinion is the most dynamic, creative that's alive right now. She's just so dope.
Right.
I've seen her like go from where those doors were locked
Right.
to being the most amazing pen of our generation and everything that she's doing.
She's so big right
She's
now.
incredible. But it's just that grind of like just writing. You know what I mean?
I was telling you, like, you
and
gotta
just-
have
just
1,000
that-
no's before that one
I mean,
yes.
and but not only getting those 1,000 no's, but knowing they're full of shit.
Right.
Because in the dark, you are crafting your skill set to the point where one day you're gonna be so undeniable they have to open the doors even when they don't want to.
So you put in your 10,000 hours.
And an excellent 10,000 hours. You know what I
Right,
mean? Because it's not even about just practice makes perfect. No, perfect practice makes perfect.
Right.
You guys are professional athletes. Sometimes you may have a day where you go in there and you like, I left something out there. I had too much on my mind.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, you was in there.
And you felt it too.
And you
though.
feel it.
And
You,
felt that.
you was in there, but you wasn't in there. And then in those days where you in your zone, you in your bag.
Right.
You like, if I had a game tomorrow, you see what I'm saying? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
having those 10,000 hours. And so to me, I just think that I've just never seen it. I've never seen anybody who's a good person who is so driven and committed to perfecting their craft and like put time in that wakes up and goes, "Oh, that didn't work out for me."
Right.
I've just never seen it.
Right. Especially in today's day
Come
and
on,
age,
man.
Today's day and age is
Are
different.
you kidding me?
You could literally sit in your house and work on something in the computer and work on it all day, every day, and you can be great at it and sell it straight from your house.
And the thing too is just like, if you don't have that dog in you, right, to push that hard, then do me a favor and just love the life you have.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with loving the life that you have.
Right. Right.
Not every person can break those doors down and change the trajectory of their lives or their families' lives.
Right.
That's what we love, like that's why we love the underdog stories, the rags to riches stories, because they're really rare.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, can you be that person? Of course you can. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you willing to die? Are you willing to die for it? And if you're not willing to die for it, then be honest and then love the life you have, man.
Right.
Because you know what I mean? Because there's no
Cut all
point.
that fucking complaining out.
Yeah, just love the life you have and say, you know
Yeah.
what, man? I shoot pool every Friday night.
And it's all good.
I drink a couple Bud Lights with my boys.
And it's all good.
I enjoy my weekends. You know what I mean? And just enjoy the life that you have.
Right.
Because why be stuck in the middle?
Right.
Why hate your life but you're not gonna do anything to
Change the circumstances.
to transform the circumstances?
Right.
So for the young people, man, like you know if you're willing to do what it takes.
Right.
And the thing is like you in your mind you have to know that you are who you say you are. It's just the time it takes for other people to see it too.
Man, I'm having that conversation with myself right now, man.
You
These
know?
people just don't see.
You don't see it. You know what I mean? So give them time. People, sometimes people have to give them time. But
For sure.
But it's
So, I mean, this has been an amazing conversation,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
I think you. Anytime I'm around you, bro, I learn, and so I take mental notes every single time I'm around you, and I've known you for 10+ years, man. So it's just been an amazing journey to walk this life with you.
man.
And
Likewise.
so I hope that you finish writing your book already, man. Because I've been said you should have wrote a book. Already, man.
It's
I
coming.
hope this podcast is your coming out party to the world, because your story needs to be heard. Your story needs to be told. It needs to be echoed and reverberated all throughout our communities and all throughout your community.
Yeah.
And you need to be the hero to the rest of the world that you have been to myself and my family and everybody around, man.
We need that candy bar story.
Yeah, I mean, he really robbed y'all, because that shit is amazing. But I mean, and like I said, man, you can be a regular on this podcast, man. Anytime you want to stop in, come shoot the shit with us, man. We're gonna be here. But I want the people to get a chance to like reach out to you if they can. So all your social media is pretty much the same, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and plug it.
All my social media is really the same. No trolls though, man.
This gonna happen.
Okay.
It's gonna come.
It's at H2 Humble.
At H2 Humble, and that's like on Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah,
and,
it's all the same.
are you on Facebook?
Nah.
Yeah, I hear you,
Not
man.
really, man. Not really. You know, every once in a while. But really, you know, I'm more of a Twitter guy than anything.
Yeah,
But,
Twitter.
Find me on Twitter.
And Instagram. He's always deleting my comments on Instagram. I'm always talking shit, man.
You're a funny
so
guy, you know.
there it is right there, man. So people that are watching, they can go check you out.
Yeah.
Really one of the most inspiring people I've ever walked
The son
across.
of Uganda.
The son of Uganda.
Yeah.
This is all new to me. I'm not on this.
Oh, he ain't on no social media at all, man. So
Yeah.
you
You
know,
know, can I live one thought before we go?
man, you gonna leave a couple, but go ahead.
If there's anything you could take away from this from these few hours we spent together, it's like dreams are really, really possible and they come true through a commitment and through commitment and sacrifice. And once you do get to that point that you dream of, make sure you're defining that end point for yourself. For if it's another person's definition of what that success means, then you will never get there. Be very, 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 very careful that you're after what's fulfilling. And in that journey, never lose the awe of who you are. Like, you're already dynamic. You don't gotta prove nothing to anybody. Never lose that awe of not only who you are, but the awe of like life itself.
Love yourself.
Love yourself, and
Love your life.
and I always say, and it's never really where you get to. You know, and I've been lucky to achieve the success that I've always dreamed of, and represent with all you guys and all these all these incredible people. But to me, it was never about that. It was always about just seeing how far you can go.
Right.
Like, it's not where you go, it's how far you go.
You went from
one
Mud Hut to Beverly Hills, baby.
And only to find out that the mud house is where I was supposed to be.
That's beautiful. But yo, check this out, man. We end every podcast the same because our reach isn't as far as we like it to be, but it's going to. People need to hear these podcasts, man, because it's great shit. And more importantly, we're trying to get Jim Carrey on this podcast, man. That's one of my favorite people. Yeah, it's one of my favorite people walking the earth, man. So if you could just look at this camera, and he might watch it, he might not. But we're going to put the pressure on him every single time we let one of these off, man. So if you could just try to convince him to come on the podcast, man, we appreciate it.
Man, Jim Carrey, what can I say? We need you, man. We need you. He's only had one dream, one goal, and if this is the next one, he won't be satisfied until you come. Jim, come on, man. We need you, brother.
Come through.
I'll cover the expenses.
There it is. Flights on us.
Yeah.
On him, anyway. We appreciate you coming through, man. Once again,
Yeah, for sure.
it's
I'm
amazing,
happy to be
man.
here.
And anybody out there listening, man, go reach out to him on social media. Just follow him because he's an inspiring individual, man. But we appreciate you, man. Thank you, everybody for listening out there to Now What Podcast, man. We'll be back soon with some more fire for you, man. We appreciate it.
Peace.